I was like, yo, that's pretty fire.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first live episode of Sports Time. I'm your host, John Rocha, and I'm super excited to finally be doing a sports show on my channel here through the StreamYard app. I can't tell you how much you guys have been like kind of pushing me to do this and making me do this. And well, what do you know? It's live and it's happening. And I said to myself, well, who do I bring along? Who do I bring on to the show with me that I remember having a effing blast doing a show with over at when we were doing Collider Sports? And I couldn't think of two better dudes to start off the show with than Mr. Jay Washington and Winston Marshall, the Blurred and Goal MFers. Welcome, guys. How are you?
This may have been premature because you just saw Jay cough. He's probably dead in about a week. So,
excuse me, Negro. I have allergies and sinuses, but this entire cup of tequila. Hey, bro, you know how many allergy pills I've been popping I have a cat that lives here, okay? And then on top of that, you know about the cat. You've been in my house. Then this is
because I'm gonna put you out. We'll put you out again because that's where we film everything. So yes, I've been inside that house.
And this is a full cup of tequila, so I think I'm gonna make it through this show, y'all. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, all I have is my Coke Zeros just to keep me alive, but I'll eventually get to the tequila, I'm sure. But we are here. We're starting here at 1 o'clock today. We had originally planned to do it on Friday, but unfortunately things didn't quite work out. And Saturday was a possibility too, but I had a plumbing issue in my apartment, so we are doing it here at 1 o'clock, streaming live. For those of you who are going to watch later, thank you so much for downloading it anyway and watching it. Give us some likes there. And for those of you who are live, here's the deal. Right up there is the StreamLabs. You can send in your StreamLabs any questions you want to ask us, send in a donation, and we will answer it on the show. However, if some of you want to actually come on live with us, I think I can make it happen and bring you up on here live, have you ask your question, drop you out, and then we'll answer it live on the show. And I'll put that link down here in the description as soon as I get it up for everybody. So I think here, let me actually put it in now so that we can just get past it and move on. And then I'll have it saved as a thing I can copy and paste every time. So, and Jake Yakubeta up in here streaming or helping us moderate this chat. Thank you so much, Jake. There's the StreamYard's link, Jake, if you want to copy that and kind of drop it in intermittently, and we'll get people waiting in with us. But let's get into it, guys. Are you excited to talk about the NFL and the free agency?
Who is it?
I mean, this is the time of the year everybody really gets pumped up for. You know, Super Bowl is one thing. You crown a Super Bowl champion. As soon as that's done, you don't even let the team celebrate. It's immediately the next day. You're like, all right, who going where? Who's going to be with, you know what I'm saying? That's immediately the thing that happens.
Yep, agreed. And, you know, speaking of going somewhere, let's start off with the DeAndre Hopkins. That's the topical news happened this morning. I had a whole rundown for today. It all got scrapped because all this news broke. You remember so many people were saying to me, how are you starting a sports show when there's no sports going on? Bro, just because there's no games doesn't mean there's no sports going on. There's always sports going on. Let's start there. DeAndre Hopkins, the Texans traded DeAndre Hopkins, their star receiver, Deshaun Watson's number one dude and my favorite fantasy football player, and a late round pick to the Arizona Cardinals for running back David Johnson, the shell of David Johnson, and a second round pick. The Texans take on all of Johnson's salary. It's a 3-year, $39 million contract extension with cap hits of $10.2 million in 2020 and $7.9. Hopkins is owed $14 million in 2020, $15 million in 2021, and $13.9 in 2022. The Cardinals also received a 4th-round pick in this year's draft, and the Texans get a 2nd-round pick and a 4th-round selection in 2021. Jay, I go to you first because I will go to Winston second on the next story. What is your reaction to this? Are you shocked by this? Does it make any sense? I mean, they've got Will Fuller there, but he's had injuries. Why make this trade?
You can't pay both DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson. You can't pay them both. That's all it is at the end of the day. And you're going to keep your quarterback. I hate to say it. You're going to keep your quarterback happy. He's only getting better as the seasons progress. And this is not taking anything away from Hopkins, because I don't want anybody thinking it's saying that Hopkins is less than. He's not. It's just that you can't pay both. And we're in this new day and age. I've said it many times when we did Sports Time, when we've all had our individual conversations. Joe Flacco changed the game for quarterbacks. I will consist. He's changed the game for quarterbacks in regards to what quarterbacks will get. Now, is it saying they all are worth it? Absolutely not. And I know people say, well, Flacco has a Super Bowl. So does Trent Dilfer. But, I mean, let's just be honest. But
so does Brad Johnson, right?
Right. So it's just, and it's not saying that, again, not saying that Watson's is not worth it at all as a QB. but it's just now these quarterbacks know they can get a lot of money. And with the CBA, which we'll talk about in a minute, this changes things more.
Yeah. And what do you say, Winston? I mean, this is, first of all, were you shocked by this? And second of all, does this make any sense? Because they do get David Johnson. They needed a running back. Lamar Miller hitting free agency. Carlos Hyde hitting free agency. They only have Duke Johnson on there as essentially a third down back. Does this make sense? Because David Johnson's production numbers were going down over the last couple of years.
Here's the thing. It both does and doesn't make sense. It makes sense, like Jay said, that there's only so much of the kitty to go around. It's the same issue that you're seeing with Dallas, and we'll get to that in a minute, where you can't pay everybody. And I think when you look at how deep at receiver this draft class is, and you notice that they got a second rounder in there, they're kind of hedging their bet that they would, oh my Lord, what's the number 2 receiver in Houston right now? What's his name? Because he had a bunch of games where he went off.
Wasn't it Will Fuller?
Will Fuller had a number of games where he went off. So you're banking off of Will Fuller being able to maybe hold it for a minute. And then after that, you go and find a rookie that can come in and do work. But let me just run some numbers by you real quick, just as far as this will tie into a little bit later when we start talking about Dallas. So DeAndre Hopkins, who was considered far and away by a lot of people the number 1 receiver going into the season.
Yeah.
These are his numbers compared to Amari Cooper up in Dallas right now, who everybody thought that he was a wash. So as far as receptions, DeAndre Hopkins wins that. He had 104 to Cooper's 79. As far as targets, he had 150 to Cooper's 119. Right. But that's where everything else flips on its head. So Amari Cooper had 1189 yards. DeAndre Hopkins had 1165. Cooper was averaging 15 yards per reception. DeAndre Hopkins was averaging 11.2. The longest reception for Cooper was 53. Hopkins 43. 20-plus receptions. You had 17 for Cooper and 16 for Hopkins. You had 8 touchdowns for Cooper and 7 for Hopkins. And remember, Cooper, as much crap as he got, was injured most of the time. So it's not to say that DeAndre Hopkins is not that dude. He is. But when you consider that you don't let go of Watson, because look at the field right now for quarterbacks, cool, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, you got a year or two with them before this is a different conversation and you have to move on with your organization. The Texans are young and moving forward. You do not want to put yourself that you're running back. No pun intended. You take David Johnson right now because Johnson can do something for you for maybe the next year or two, and then you can go find another back, which backs become a dime a dozen in a lot of ways.
True.
But you need to keep that quarterback situated there, and you need the money to pay him to do it. So that's why you do that.
You know, Jeremy Fortes says right here, a real quick comment. He says, this is a wide receiver heavy draft. So maybe the Texans are counting on that. I don't know how much cap money they have. Cooper now, you mentioned Cooper's dancing around out there. Could Cooper just make the quick trip over to Houston to be a part of that team with Deshaun Watson?
Can I swear because we're not a collider? Because I want to say he better the fuck not. He better. I'll tell you right now, he better the fuck not.
Hey, real quick, I want to just real quick before I forget and before the tequila really kicks in, I want to make a public apology to Jake Icavetta from shit that happened back in the day. I wanted to say everything's all good with us, and it probably is the tequila and me being nice, but it's just from the heart. Okay, thank you.
Well, that's the funny thing. I'm just gonna from now on, whenever I need Jay to shut the fuck up or act right, I'm just gonna like take his bubbly and pour tequila in it, and then pretend like that is happening.
That also translates to Jake Iacovetta. Will you do my overlays too? I know what that means. All right, well, let's see what happens with this. I mean, I like the move, obviously, for the Cardinals. You pair up a second-year quarterback in Kyler Murray with DeAndre Hopkins. Did Hopkins look at that playbook and go, "Oh man, I can get some real numbers here"?
Also, you have an aging Larry Fitzgerald.
That man will never retire. He will never retire. He's gonna be playing while all the other old men are hiding in their houses from Corona. He's still gonna be out on the field, just like out here being like, "Oh, got that one." And now I'm gonna go to the University of Phoenix to get another degree.
Kids back in the day, the receivers used to stay for a longer time than they do now. Steve Largent played 18 years. Art Monk 18. Jerry Rice played almost 20 years. Back then, they used to stay longer.
Look,
nowadays, not so much.
Jerry Rice wanted to play himself. Listen, Jerry Rice when he was during the Super Bowl. We remember seeing Jerry Rice run routes in a suit. Okay,
true.
Jerry Rice was like, "Yo, put me in the game."
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I mean, I was a big fan of Kyler Murray last year. Yeah, he kind of hit that rookie wall a little bit towards the end, but he was doing some great work. Remember that overtime victory he got for the Cardinals, bringing them back when they were way down. Kid's got skills. Kingsbury, we'll see what he's got as a coach. But with DeAndre Hopkins now, I think they're set. They've got those running backs. They might be set on this one and pull a few surprises this year. And speaking of surprise as well, the Dallas Cowboys have exclusively franchise tagged Dak Prescott. How can they not work out a deal? What is the issue here? Dak Prescott played on a $2 million contract last year, had maybe the best season he's had as a Dallas Cowboy, and yet there's still some snags on this contract situation, so much that they've tagged him. We're going to go to you first, Winston, on this. Yeah. It's expected to be worth between $30 million and $33 million, which will chew into the $79 million that the Cowboys have in salary cap space and may affect them being able to sign Amari Cooper to a deal. Are you shocked by this, and what is going on in Dallas that they can't figure out this contract?
So the only thing that makes me nervous about this, honestly, is more of a you've lost leverage with Cooper now. By not just franchise tagging, but exclusively franchise tagging Dak Prescott, you're putting yourself in a situation, like you said, it's $33 million for an exclusive franchise tag, which if people are curious, I want to do my research about that beforehand. The non-exclusive, which is the traditional franchise tag, you typically play for whatever the veteran average is, which I think it goes up every year. And I want to say right now it's sitting at about 14 mil, 15 mil, something like that.
Right.
But that allows you to go and talk to other teams. If a team offers, similar to when you have free agency in the NBA, the restricted free agency, if someone offers a deal, you're allowed to come back and double that. Or match it and up to double it, or not double. You add a fifth year onto it if you want to. It's a similar situation. The team is allowed to match or go higher to anything that's offered. Mm-hmm. They're terrified, knowing what the quarterback class looks like in this free agency, that Dak's going to go somewhere. So they said, we're not even going to entertain that. We'll take this and we'll deal with it. Right now, the problem is you just traded a first-round pick for Amari Cooper 2 years ago. He has barely played, I want to say, 25 games. He didn't even make it the full 32. And now all of a sudden you're like, yeah, okay, cool. We're just going to make this happen. You are asking for trouble. Now, the only thing, again, this is a deep wide receiver class. Maybe you were like, we had him on loan for a little bit. It was a high loan.
Right.
But I think that's what you do. You just have to, you gotta hedge your bet here. And I think that's what they're doing.
Well, the Cowboys have done it before, Jay. I go to you on this one. Wide receiver Des Bryant, he was on a tag and then signed the 5-year, $70 million contract. DeMarcus Lawrence, their defensive end in 2018 and 2019, they signed him to a contract, eventually 5-year, $105 million deal in April of 2019. But this is a Dak Prescott with 4,900 throwing yards last year, second best in the NFL with 30 touchdown passes. He hadn't thrown for more than 3,800 yards, in the last 3 seasons, or 23 touchdown passes. And you look at Amari Cooper, this is 79 catches, 1,189 yards. What I'm seeing and what I'm reading is the Eagles, Colts, and yes, the Raiders might be in conversation for Amari Cooper. First of all, if you're Dak Prescott, why do you want to come back to a team without Amari Cooper? Because they were just going to 8-8 until Amari Cooper showed up a couple of years ago. I remember that season. And who's the guy? Who's the second one? Winston, who's their second guy? Michael Pullen or whatever.
No. You're talking about Jesus, not Pullen. You're talking the young dude, Michael. Give me a second. My brain's not working. The football's been off for a while, but he's been killing it. Oh my God! Go ahead. Keep talking what you're talking about.
You look it up. But Jay, what do you think about all of this? And
Gallup.
Michael Gallup. Yeah.
All right. So what do I mean, I feel like this. First and foremost, is Dak Prescott betting on himself, in which you're in an uncertain position. I mean, we have quarterbacks that have had longevity, but at the same time, you are in a position where people do headhunt, unfortunately. And so your career can be cut short. So he bet on himself. But at the same time, I think the realization of, if he goes anywhere else, he would not have gotten this type of money. Let's just be honest.
True.
Dak was not going to get this money anywhere else, so he forced Jerry Jones's hand.
I don't disagree with. I disagree with you. And my reasoning behind that is the fact that look at the quarterbacks that are out there right now. If you look at Dak's numbers, Dak put up numbers this past year.
I'm not saying he put up numbers, but you're not going to throw. You're not going to throw all of this money. Remember, Dak he put up numbers, but he was inconsistent throughout the season.
That's not true.
On the road, he wasn't as strong on the road as he was at home.
And that's what I mean. And that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
It was one game up, one game down. That's inconsistent. That's inconsistent.
While I understand that, again, I think there's a couple things at play. First of all, you were very aware of the coach that was there and how shit happening.
Listen,
that's the first thing.
Look, bro.
Yes,
let me keep it 100 with you. You're a Cowboys fan. I get it.
I know.
And you want Captain Clappy gone, and he's gone.
Captain Clappy gone.
He's gone, right? But at the same time, you got to remember this quarterback still has to play his game.
Sure,
he still has to play his game. Regardless of the quarterback, good quarterbacks know how to take over a game and be a leader outside of the coach as well. We've seen this.
But this is what I was going to try and tell you though. As far as hold on, let me try and get these. Let me try and get these stat totals up here so I can you gonna make me log into some shit? This some old bullshit. I gotta open up gotta open up the ESPN and now and shit. My point is. Let's look at some of the other quarterbacks that you see just got paid and or are kind of circulating around here, right? You have Phillip Rivers, who still had a pretty solid season, but he's what, like 75, 76? You have Tom Brady right now, who just also still is Tom Brady, but he's older than Rocha. So, you have situations where you have a lot of elite quarterbacks that are out there, but they're not going to last longer. You're not going to have them longer than a year or two, right? That's the first thing. The second thing that you're then going to follow up with, you look at some of these young guys, they're either locked up or they're on rookie stuff. You're terrified necessarily about stuff coming out of the draft. So again, based off of what is out there, that's the same reason why you see, unfortunately, Jared Goff's ass got locked up for as much as he did. Oof. It didn't make any sense to give him that much money, but they gave him that money. So for example, passing yards. That number one, scarily enough, was Jameis Winston at 5,109 yards.
Hey, I heard that. I did that the other day. I was talking about that the other day with somebody. I was like, "Yo, do you realize who locked in these yards? Yeah. Captain Crab Legs."
How dare you? As a Seminole, how dare you?
But guess who followed him? Guess who was number 2 in yards? Dak Prescott with 4,902.
Prescott.
As far as touchdowns, he was 4th in the league with 30. As far as completion percentage, let's see, he was 13th, which isn't as great. But when you consider most people are shooting around the 74 to 65, he's number 30 or 13 at 65%. So Dak Prescott, I understand what you're saying about the inconsistency in certain games, but you just change over the coach. You have somebody that's proven that he can do it when it comes down to it. It's just you need him to give you that monumental moment. So I do not blame Dallas for being like, we have to lock this, because what you gonna go do? You gonna go get Kirk Cousins from the Vikings? You go convince. Not anymore.
Yeah,
not anymore. Minnesota decided to keep that ass.
But before we jump into that, we'll see what happens with Dallas. We'll see what happens with Dak and Amari. Certainly, Dak is already going to be signed for that 30 to 33 million. He's set at least for the year, and we'll see if that leads to them finally figuring out this contract. Maybe this is they had to do this so that they could focus on Amari. Okay, if we can't for the contract out, at least you're going to get this much. Let's go focus on Amari. That may be the logic here for the Cowboys, and we'll find out certainly in the next few days if that logic bears out. Let's hit some super chats real quick before we move on to our next topic. Right there, PC says, Jay, your Blackhawks cap is fire.
Appreciate it. I'm always supporting the home team, so you know
he's never been to a hockey game in his entire life.
Actually, I used to work at the United Center during the hockey games, and I worked in the stands.
So you were working it. All right, fair enough.
But I watched the games. I watched the games, you jerk.
Jay's the one in the yellow jacket turned around from the rink the whole time looking at security.
Rocha, have you seen when Chance the Rapper was on SNL and he did a sketch where he was normally he was the Garden's basketball correspondent, but basketball was postponed. So he had to go and do the hockey. And he was like, go ahead and turn around. Let me see your name. Yeah, I'm not even going to try.
That was the best.
That was Jay. Jay was up there. One black dude in the whole entire stands being like, oh, shit. That's the end of the second period. He's like, the second period? Give me the second half? Nah, I'm thinking there's 3 periods in this bitch. Wait a minute, what?
All the fans just could do side eyes at him, just looking at him. All right, here we go. The next one here, David Kakoa says, nice to see a stream of 3 brothers talking football.
Well, this is going to go somewhere or the other. I see that.
You said it, David. I didn't. You said it. I didn't.
My God, it's good to see 3 brothers talking sports.
And we get one here from Dark Faith 66 says, John, I'm as Asian as you are. Will we make it through this too? Yes, I think so. shows like this is what I'm trying to do with the content. I'm very blessed that Jay Washington and Winston Marshall can take time to be on this, because this is our way of kind of taking the worries off from you guys and also taking the worries off from ourselves of all the nuttiness that's going on right now. We're in uncharted territory, but I think we band together, keep chill, and take it one step at a time. You never know where it can lead. So hopefully we're doing that for you and making y'all laugh as well. And shout out to Ben Goddard, who's in the chat, shooting occasional shots at everybody on here. Very funny stuff. And one last thing, we've got a Aiden Kostick sent in a StreamLab. He said, "Hey, John, Jay, and Winston, hope everyone is staying healthy. Did any of you get a chance to watch AEW Revolution? Quick thoughts." Did you guys? I haven't yet.
Yeah, I did. I think it was a decent pay-per-view. They're growing. We can't expect the level of consistency, I hate to use the word, when it comes to like the WWE's pay-per-views, because they've been doing it so long. This is a new company. Pay-per-views and building the storylines and building the matches and building the talent for everyone to engage with is a thing that has to grow. Yeah. And wrestling fans have to be willing to let things grow. That has been a big issue with the pro wrestling world for a while. People aren't willing to accept new things or new talent. They just have to know them from somewhere else. So you got to allow it to build. So I think Revolution was good. I think it has some room to grow. And I am not just saying this as somebody who is trying to be in the search for Spears, but you can catch that on Twitter. I'm trying to be Sean Spears' tag team partner.
Respect. We got ourselves someone calling in. Hold on. Let me see if I can bring him up real quick and move on to our next thing. There he is.
Oh no!
Oh,
you can't even see me.
Oh shit!
You're gonna have to stand up in your.
I'm about to stand up so I can see. Like right now, I got to put my head up. Are we able to take off the banner for half a second?
I don't. Let me see if I can remove the banner. Hold on. I'm learning how to do this as I go along.
Oh no!
There we go. There he is.
Wait a minute. Who let Grandpa run the studio?
Hold on. He was like, "Hold on."
I got there. Come on,
push up the grass. Like, hold on, Jesus. All right.
What you got, Goddard? What you got?
I just wanted to talk. Love the show so far. Long time listener, first time caller. Just about the Dak Prescott stuff. Jay, you're out of your fucking mind. Ryan Tannehill is about to get $20 million a year for handing the ball off to Derrick Henry.
Like I said earlier, Ben, since you're talking all this shit, like I said, Joe Flacco has changed the game with quarterbacks. He has changed that. That's the reason Tannehill's getting this money.
That's
true.
What I'm saying?
So it's like these quarterbacks, they may not be this top tier, but they're finna get top tier money.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that Dak has actually done something with the team, meanwhile being handcuffed by the clapper. And he's actually brought us to the playoffs, gotten us playoff wins. And we have our offensive line together. We've got
you're a Dallas fan too. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Did you not know?
I mean, it's perfect. You put the two of you together at the bottom. It's the perfect you did.
When we gave Romo all that money, I was a little hesitant because I was like, I like Romo, but he hasn't really earned it. Dak has definitely earned it. Coming in that rookie season, doing what he did, then playing for $2 million last year, trusting the team was gonna do him right. Yeah. He's about to get Isaiah Thomas out this motherfucker, and it's not right, because Isaiah Thomas did the same thing for the Celtics, and they did him dirty.
But I think
you think they're not going to sign him to a full contract? You think they're just playing him franchise tag for now and let him play out the year and still not sign him?
Didn't they do that with? Didn't the Redskins do that with Kirk Cousins 2 years in a row?
But there's no way we had faith in Cousins the way you guys have faith in Dak. The reason we kept franchise tagging him is because we didn't think he was worth the money to pay him for a long-term contract. And whereas Dak looks like he could be a potential Super Bowl winning quarterback, especially with Mike McCarthy coming in, who's already won a Super Bowl with with Rodgers, you think this might be the way to go. So I think it's been Jason Garrett holding Dak back. I don't think it's the same situation 100%.
But do you think him and McCarthy will get on the same page?
Yes, I think so. I think McCarthy knows exactly what to do with that guy. And if I was Dak, I would have switched around and got myself to New England. If I was Dak, I would have got myself to New England somehow, but that's not going to happen. So,
just because New England will never pay that price tag.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
No, if they won't even pay, I realize, Tom Brady's getting up there, but the fact they won't even shell out probably maybe $5 million for 2 years, maybe with an option for the first. The fact that they won't even shell that out for their most legendary player, like New England would never pay $30 million a year for anybody. They let everybody go, and then like they go that. You know, you get good in New England, then you go get your contract somewhere else.
Yeah. And the irony might be, and this is what I've been hearing watching ESPN and other places, is that Tom Brady might end up in Tampa, for God's sakes.
What's funny is are you telling me that Tom Brady went to New England to go get good? It's not he's gonna fucking
that's the way it sounded like you said that. Like,
exactly. He's finally gonna get his big contract. The guy's been working hard.
And he's been taking pay cuts and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, look at fucking, speaking of Dallas, look at Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki took pay cut after pay cut waiting for them to get a superstar. They managed to squeak out one of the greatest upsets of all time, granted, when everybody, like JJ Barea was playing like Magic Johnson.
Right.
But other than that, like he never got a big payday and he never got another superstar until Luka, and it was like, oh, now you're replaced. Bye.
Fair point.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, those Mavericks were team corruption. No one saw that coming, and they won't be winning the belt again. All right. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks for having me. Great show.
Later, dude. I cannot believe you would dare say something so blasphemous about the Dallas Mavericks when you see the kind of we are out here wilding on folks. You gonna say something like that?
No, I'm talking about the Mavericks when they won that series that year. The Heat hadn't quite come together, just like Dan and I hadn't quite come together before we played corruption a third time. That's when we were rolling as a team.
No, I get it. So what has to happen is we just have to wait, just like the Heat eventually died off. We just got to wait for you two dinosaurs to die off, and then another team will come up and take it, if that's what you're trying to say.
That's fair. Hey, guys, real quick before we jump into the next thing. Jake Iacovetta sent me this StreamLabs. He says, just a reminder to everyone to support Jay and Winston on their Patreon pages. When you read this, I'll drop the links in the chat. So there you go. Look at the chat. Support. You have my Patreon up there on the left as your screen, and definitely support Jay and Winston in their Patreon. Jake will be dropping it in there. Paul Denuzio's in here as well. Thank you for joining us, Paul. Over 140 you all are in here. Thank you so much for joining us live. Please hit that like button on this thing. And, of course, send in your StreamLabs, send in your Super Chats. And if anyone else wants to join us, like Ben just joined us, Jake is going to drop that link in there for you to come join us live and ask you questions. All right. Speaking of quarterbacks, let's jump back into this free agency stuff. Kirk Cousins just got himself paid again. That son of a bitch. He got 2 days prior to the start of free agency. He agreed to a 2-year contract extension with the Minnesota Vikings. That's according to his agent, Mike McCartney. He had 1 year left on his current deal, which was a 3-year deal already that he signed in March of 2018. He was due a $29.5 million base salary for 2020, which becomes $10 million on his new deal. And his new deal is worth $66 million over 2 years, including $61 million guaranteed at signing. The move clears $10 million in cap space for the Vikings. This is madness. I've never seen a quarterback make so much money off barely getting into the playoffs and getting his first win. A cookie. For God's sakes, I don't understand what's happening.
I know what's happening. He is holding the system with no lube. He's like taking, just taking.
Jesus.
Just a great, because again, Kirk Cousins is serviceable as a backup at best. He is not a quarterback you put your entire team on and you put all this money into. He is getting over on the system so hard. Oh my God. It really means that Minnesota doesn't believe in anybody else out there.
Yeah,
or they're scared. Either they don't believe or they are scared.
Well, the irony is Teddy Bridgewater is roaming around out there, and Teddy Bridgewater used to be their star quarterback.
He used to be their quarterback. And look what he did in New Orleans. Right. Like he's out here looking for a team. If you're Minnesota, get him back.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple things here. First of all, New Orleans is an actual team, whereas Minnesota is just like the Bears and the Lions. They want to pretend like they're good, but they're not really a thing. Wow, first thing. First of all, I thought you were a Saints fan. Make up your mind. Second of all, I'm just gonna go out here and say that people like to make the prayer. People like to make the prayer of God, give me the courage and the wherewithal of a straight white man. That specifically is referring to Kirk Cousins. I wish Lord Jesus let me have the strength and courage and wherewithal to rob people blind like Kirk motherfucking Cousins. Because you know what happened? He came after Robert Griffin III when he busted his knee up, right? Yep. And like put some pretty good games together. So then Washington was like, here's some money, motherfucker. And then he showed his true colors and was like, I fooled you. I suck ass. I just took all your money. So then y'all traded him. Y'all traded him to Minnesota, right?
He fleeced us almost as worse as Deion Sanders fleeced us for that 1 year he played for us. Mm-hmm. I still want my money back from Deion.
You can't. Deion came and got his rings from San Fran and Dallas and said, bye, bitch. And now you have a situation where Kirk Cousins gets traded to Minnesota and he put up just enough games to get paid all the money.
Yep.
And I guarantee you, by the time the season is over, you'll be talking about Mitchell Trubisky more than you'll be talking about motherfucking Kirk Cousins.
That's a hot take.
I'm gonna tell you something. I don't like that hot take for what reason?
That means that Mitchell has to stay.
Mitchell has to stay. You gave me another hot take about Mitchell Trubisky, but goddamn it, don't keep him there. Look, the Bears are looking at. We were talking about this before we went on air. The Bears are looking at Andy Dalton or Nick Foles in free agency.
Why Nick Foles? I can see Andy Dalton, but I don't see Nick
Foles. Won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but his regular season record is horrible.
Again, Foles won. I mean, it's Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. People go all these quarterbacks that win the Super Bowl. But Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl. He's not a great quarterback, but he won a Super Bowl.
But also, you just have to look at those teams that happened. So that Eagles team in particular, they were humming. They were on the right frequency at that time, and he rode that out. Look at all the teams that Foles has kind of captained. The Eagles teams he was at before, trash. That Jaguars team before he broke his collarbone, trash, which is also weird because they had just gone to the playoffs and everybody thought that they were going to potentially make a Super Bowl run. So, like, you just have to keep that in consideration. Like, Nick Foles has it in him, but it's a similar to a Flacco. He's above average at best, but he'll never be great. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of what's going on here.
I don't disagree. And another player that got signed, that's Ryan Tannehill. Look, Tannehill was heading to backup quarterback heaven in the sky and somehow got traded to the Titans and sitting behind Mariota. He stepped in for Mariota and he ended up leading them to the AFC Championship game behind Derrick Henry's legs. And I'm going to push back on Ben Goddard and say it was Tannehill throwing some good passes too, getting those touchdowns in those games to lead them. But you look at the situation, they've agreed to a term, Tennessee and Ryan Tannehill have 4 years extension, $118 million with 62 million of it guaranteed with 91 million in total guarantees. That's according to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. He tweeted that Sunday. And you look at this, he did turn the Titans season around. He posted the league's best passer rating in 2019 with 117.5, completed 70.3% of his passes for 2,700 yards and a 22-6 touchdown interception ratio. And they did win 7 of their final 10 games. But this also frees up the situation for them to go after Derrick Henry and get him paid as well. But you look at the situation, Winston, I guess I'll go to you first. You look at the situation. What do we do here? What yet another quarterback getting paid $61 million guaranteed, possibly $91 million guaranteed. And don't tell me defenses aren't going to figure this guy out now that they know that he's the main man under center for Tennessee.
You know how I said 2 seconds ago, God grant me the courage and the wherewithal to rob people blind like Kirk Cousins. I take that back. I take that back. God,
want to be like Tannehill.
Yeah, give me the Tannehill gift. Because but I will say this, honest to God, he was so bad in Miami, not because he was bad. He was bad in Miami because Miami is a fucking shit show. And I think you put him in a situation where he actually has like a solid team. He's got probably arguably the best running back in the game in Derrick Henry. It took him a couple years to figure it out, but then he hit that first 200-yard game and never looked back. You know, like anybody that can embarrass Tom Brady like that is good in my book. So I think at the end of the day, they realize, again, look at the quarterback market. If you don't think you can snag somebody, you hold on to what you got. And then remember, the thing that makes them strong is Derrick Henry, not necessarily Tannehill. But Tannehill, because like what? Mariota, that was the number 2 overall pick.
Yeah. I was just about to bring that up. Wasn't Marcus Mariota when he came out the draft? Remember, he was that dude on Andrew Luck. He was that guy that you had to have. Everybody knew he was going to be an elite quarterback in the NFL. And look at where he is now.
Yeah. There's no way he stays on the Titans, right? I mean, and if you pick him up, it doesn't make any sense. But Jay, I'll go to you on this one. Do you think this is a better deal, like a better earned deal than Cousins, because Tannehill took him to the AFC Championship, or is this kind of a 1 year flash in the pan situation? Because yes, I agree with Winston that Tannehill wasn't as bad as he looked in Miami, but then again, he was good at home. He was not good on the road, and somehow he was able to make it work with Tennessee. Is he just bolstered up by a better team so he looks better, or do you think this is really him earning this money?
Remember, the Titans beat Baltimore. They beat Baltimore in the playoffs.
Yes, they did.
That speaks volumes. You beat the team that at one point everybody said, if it's not Kansas City, it's the Baltimore Ravens winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah.
That helps out a lot. And yes, going to the AFC Championship does. At the same time, it's still Ryan Tannehill. Granted, he had a team that everything clicked. A lot of people say that the bye week may have hurt the Ravens. There's so many potential excuses besides Lamar Jackson's off playing. Like I said, people said the bye week might have hurt them. I do think this is what we call taking the church's money. Because you're not going to get it nowhere else. You're not going to get it nowhere else. You know what I'm saying?
I thought it was for the building fund. I thought it was for the building fund.
It is the building fund. That's it. Okay. I never wanted to give you credit. When you were out here saying I can say Black Lantern because I knew some brothers in the military. This isn't actually this is actually a moment where I might give you an invite to the cookout. The fact that you knew what the building fund was, you might get that pass now.
I'm blacker than you all think. I'm blacker than you think. That's what I would say. There's the quote for today.
And but you know what it really is? If honestly, if you were immortal, you will have gone through every community at one point in time. So since you're gonna live forever, it makes sense that you would have met some black people that told you what the building fund was at some point or other.
I'm like Doctor Who. I keep regenerating, son, into a different culture. Let's move on to some super chats real quick. This one coming in from Ricky Girardi donated. He said 49ers now have 2 first rounders this year. Same amount of first rounders as the Texans do the next 4 years. Shake my head. I'm a fan of both teams.
Before we answer that, this motherfucker is crying. Look at this thing. He literally has tears in his eyes.
That's what tequila does. That's what tequila does. Get you emotional, son.
Wow.
Wow. You know what the building fund is.
Wow. But you just said that they have 2 first rounders and one of them is the 13th overall pick because they got it from the Colts. That's insane.
Right.
That's
as
insane.
if they weren't strong enough.
They just went to the damn Super Bowl. How the fuck y'all let this happen?
Yeah.
No, easy. When everybody was making these trades in the 2016, 2017, and 2018 draft, nobody was expecting this. Remember, this was like right after Kaepernick with the 49ers, and they really didn't have any solidification at quarterback or a real solid team. So everybody's like, oh, the 49ers ain't going to be shit. And now they go to the Super Bowl, and you looking at the draft, and you like, oh, fuck. You looking like they got all of these picks because it's really speaking volumes to not being able to predict the future. Because when you trade away your picks in the draft, you're like, oh, look at this team. This team isn't going to be anybody. This team isn't going to do anything. And then this comes around now, like you just said, the 49ers go to the Super Bowl. And now they have all these picks to build their team even further.
Well, I think it's smart, too, because we talked about already, it's a wide receiver heavy draft. You give Jimmy G even more wide receivers, then he can do less mistakes. He might make less mistakes on the field when he's forced to throw the ball to certain places. If he's got two receivers he really trusts, here's why avoid some of those mistakes possibly. Here's
why I'm going to slightly disagree with that.
Okay.
Having the receivers is one thing. Being an accurate and confident quarterback is another. Because there were plays during the Super Bowl where Jimmy G was just throwing shit. Winston and I watched the bowl together, and we remember those plays where he was just launching it.
And that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Maybe you can launch it to a guy that's 6'3", 6'4", and you trust he's going to catch it.
Yeah, but they got to be in that direction. They got to be in that area where you throw it a damn ball.
That's fair point.
Nobody was that.
He threw that shit like, nigga, I did not know where I was throwing the ball. Like, it was very, like, he was
no.
He was just
Here he come right there.
Have you ever been in a situation where you dated someone and they were like, how you not read my mind that I wanted you to blah, blah, blah. That's essentially how shit
What women are you dating?
you know what that actually was? I wasn't dating that person. That was just my mom. My mom was like, how you not know I told you to wash the dishes before I got home?
Nope, I'm not saying nothing about your mama. I am scared of your mama. I'm not saying nothing about your mama. Nope. I'm gonna wait till the next topic right there. We're gonna go past Winston's
That's
mama.
right. Somebody call my mama. All right, Haskell 420. Let's jump into these two StreamLabs real quick. Haskell 420 says trade and deal. Colts trade a first-round pick, number 13 overall, to the 49ers for all-pro defensive tackle DeForest Buckner, who's now second highest paid defensive tackle after Arnold. 49ers now have 2 first-round picks without second, third, fourth picks. The 49ers are likely to shop one of their first-round picks. There you go. That's what we were just kind of referencing there from that super chat as well. That's the background behind that. So they are set in many, many ways. And then Alec Miller donating, he said, I think Tannehill was so bad because he was only a quarterback for a year at A&M before being drafted in the first round. I think he is starting to find himself as a QB. That's an interesting take. If Tannehill might be getting better, when I thought he was on his way out of the league, he actually might be getting better. And that could spell some serious trouble for anybody in the AFC if the Titans, because their defense was beautiful to watch, if the Titans with Derrick Henry and an ever-improving Tannehill come to play, then that's a dangerous team to take on any Sunday.
And they have one of the AJ Color boys, right? They got an AJ Brown. Is that his name? Because you got Green over in Cincinnati.
The rookie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, super deep wide receiver class. I know they probably have some other things they need to take care of, but if you can grab one of those receivers in the second or third to pair with Brown, oh my God. Yeah. Like that team becomes a complete powerhouse because they almost made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. They were so close. If they had maintained that lead, just about every team that played KC last year in the playoffs, if they had kept that lead, they'd win that damn game.
I make the argument that of the 3 teams that were left, because who would have been left? So they beat the Patriots, and then they beat the Ravens, which I would argue was the most. We said that all throughout on Sports Time. That was the most dangerous team in the NFL, and they embarrassed them.
They did.
I think the only reason you lose to KC is the same reason KC lost to the Patriots. It's like it's your first time here. And you kind of got to catch it on the chin, you know?
Yep. And they may be back and be even stronger next year. And that's a scary situation. Well, the reason we're having all these conversations, one of the big reasons is the new collective bargaining agreement that was signed by the NFL here. The players union signed it. The vote was tight. 1,019 yes votes versus 959 no votes. The owners will have some of the things coming out of the CBA. The owners will have a window from 2021 to 2023 to expand the regular season from 16 games to 17 games. They can't move it to 18 games until the end of this agreement, which comes in 2030. This is essentially an 11-year agreement because they still have one more year left on their current agreement, and they just made some changes to that year, but then all the changes kick in after next year. For starters, more money will come in the form of a higher share of league revenue beginning in 2021 for the players. They will get this year, they get 47% of all league revenue, but it could jump up to 48% or even higher, 48.5%, if the TV revenue gets negotiated in a positive direction overall. Who knows what's going to happen with this coronavirus? If all of this kind of plays out the way it does and gets solved before the NFL season starts, that is to the super benefit of the NFL overall, because people will be starved to watch games live. The players do not get guaranteed contracts, but the teams now have to put more money in escrow. They used to only have to put $2 million. Now they have to put anywhere from $15 to $17 million in escrow. And that some agents could start to negotiate with guaranteed contracts because you don't have those. You have guaranteed signing. You have guaranteed money like Kirk Cousins did and Ryan Tannehill, but you don't have guaranteed contracts. That's different in that situation. Also, the game day active roster will increase from 46 to 48 players, which must include one offensive lineman. Practice squads will increase. Their money will increase per week as well. And now players won't be paid 17 weeks during the season. They'll be paid over 34 weeks, which allows you to kind of save your money a little bit better. Also, they're going to eliminate suspensions for positive marijuana tests. Jay, that's a shame. You got out of the league before this went down. The testing period to the first 2 weeks of training camp, and it raises the threshold for a positive test from 35 to 150 nanograms. But there are harsher penalties for other stuff like performance-enhancing drugs. A first failed test is a 2-game suspension. A second failed test, I think, is 5, and then a third is you're out for the season. And same thing for anabolic steroids, rather. You can go to 17-game suspension on your second violation. And the big deal is they will be able, and I'll reiterate this, the conference will also have, each conference will have 7 playoff teams now instead of 6, which means last year the Steelers and the Rams would have made the playoffs under the current situation. So you look at all these things and there's more to talk about with the CBA, but those seem to be the big things that came out of this thing. Jay, what is your reaction to all of this?
I think it's great. The money that's going up now, the CBA, you just brought up a good point. If this coronavirus situation is ended by, as it's just been announced recently, potentially July or August, that's when preseason starts. That's when everything rolls. If everybody is quote unquote self-isolated, self-quarantined by then, do you know the urge people will have to spend whatever little stacked up money they may have to go spend it at a football game? Right. And now you get more football. Everybody's been asking for more football. The question is, do you shorten the preseason? The players getting a better revenue share. The taking away the violations for marijuana is a major thing because
I think that's the big thing for me.
That's the biggest thing. That's the that's the biggest thing because it has been decriminalized almost everywhere except for being federally. And the fact that you're penalizing players for what they do on their off time. Now, controlled substances is going to be another issue because remember, Richard Sherman was suspended for games for Adderall. Right. He was suspended for trying to focus because that's what Adderall is used to help focus. So are they going to break that down specifically? What are the banned substances? Because again, taking Adderall, you're like, yo, I can get a prescription for Adderall. What are you talking about? Or I just needed to help. This is a lot of anxiety. I need to focus on the game. So there's so many different things that'll happen. And yes, you're absolutely right. Who just popped up, Jeremiah Fuertes. Poor Josh Gordon. I wish this would have happened before them because Josh Gordon, his career would have not been hindered. Remember, his entire career has been hindered due to marijuana, not due to any law, any like police charges or any type of allegations, due to simple marijuana. And it never affected his performance on the field once.
Yep. That's a good point. What do you say? What stands out for me from all of this? Is it the marijuana? Is it the increased revenue? Is it the games? Is it the playoff teams? What sticks out for you, Winston?
The first is the weed part where, Josh Gordon rolled up so that the rest of the league could toke up. That's essentially what that was, honestly. Like, I feel like you go ahead, see yourself out. That's fine. Go ahead, see yourself out. I think that this is a situation that we've all been very aware of, that it doesn't make sense for them to do that again on their off time. If they're showing, like you said, if they're showing up to games intoxicated out of it, it's one thing. But if they're doing it on their off time, when you especially consider how violent of a sport it is and how weed really has been used as a means to help with pain control and all that kind of stuff, it seems wild to me that they're that against it if it's becoming legal everywhere else. That's the big thing. Other than that, I do not like 17 games. I already think that you're dealing with a sport that, again, exceptionally violent, probably the most violent sport on earth, with the exception of maybe like UFC and boxing.
Or rugby,
But even that, though, you don't hear about the CTE stuff with rugby. That you do
not too much, right? You don't.
So I don't like this from a player safety standpoint. There is a way to get more football. That's why I understand that XFL is an inferior product at this moment, and I also know that they just suspended their inaugural season. But like, you have other means to get that, and if you want to expand the playoffs, that's fine. You're adding an extra level of excitement there, but adding another regular season game, to me, this screams nothing but just the cash grab. Instead of something that's genuinely good for everybody, that is a cash grab scenario. So,
but it's a cash. But allow me to interrupt. That's a cash grab for everyone. It's not just for the owners. When you think about it, this is for the players as well. Yeah. They're getting revenue share out of this.
I understand.
Many players aren't opposed to it.
Yeah.
Many players aren't opposed to an extra game.
Well, go ahead, sorry.
I think that's the thing. Many people forget the outside public, fans like all of us and whatnot, we may have our opinions on the extra game and the implications of the game. This is absolutely fair, and they're warranted, and they're never going to be discredited. But the players have their opinions as well. And I think we need to start taking those opinions into real consideration.
Yeah, well, sorry, Winston, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, you're right, but it's one of those things. It's one of those situations where, like, I get they're all grown adults and they can make decisions for themselves. But it's like that situation where, like, you see your kid about to do something and they have the wherewithal to do it, but you're kind of like, as like the caring individual, like, that's a terrible fucking idea. You shouldn't for XYZ reasons. I mean, I get it. You know what they should do? They should just offer as much money as the NFL continues to generate. They should just offer them more money in general. You shouldn't have to put your body on the line for an extra whole fucking week in order to do this.
But again, I say this as a pro athlete, as somebody who's been back in the wrestling ring, and yes, people always say it's choreographed, but the physicality you take in the ring is just as real.
Yeah.
The thing is, you have these men who are in the NFL who have literally trained their entire lives to play this game. This is all they've wanted to do. Now, granted, you do have many, many players who, after they leave the league, they become successful in other ventures and whatever entrepreneurship they decide to undertake. But there are some who this is all they want. This is all they know. And if you take this away from them, not only does it hinder them, but there may be an entire support system in which they are the foundation for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wish they had gone the route of Ballers. I know that was a TV show and there's a lot of stuff you can just get away with. But the fact that you negotiated 2 more games into the season, but then they had negotiated a lifetime healthcare situation for the players. If I had seen something more along those lines, I might have been more amenable to this.
Yeah.
Well, I think the league is starting to take notice to that, because you can't turn a blind eye to it anymore.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
They're starting to do it. I don't think everything has been rolled out and let everybody know, because if they start telling us the baby steps they have with that, we're going to automatically say it's not enough. Automatically. So let them, put it all together and then decide to put it out to the public.
All right, that's fair. I agree with that. I mean, I think what's interesting to me is the money is great, but the money is only temporary, right? What is the overall long-term effects of playing an extra full-speed game on these bodies? I mean, we've seen over the last few years, both of you have, and I have, and I'm sure many people have as well, the players are getting hurt earlier and earlier in preseason games. Season-ending injuries are occurring in preseason games, let alone you add another game to the situation. I do agree that it adds more excitement to the game, more possibility for teams to be in contention, and now you're adding 2 extra teams to the playoff, 1 in each conference. So now you've got some more excitement to the game. But overall, what's the lasting effects? Physical. Aaron Rodgers has been quite vocal about not wanting more than a 16-game season. In fact, I think he wants a reduction in games. And now there are people who are pushing, and probably on the owner's side, for an 18-game season down the road. And that's scary overall, because at that point you start to want to go into you start going into the NBA territory, in my opinion, and you start willfully resting players during certain games that are your stars. And what's that going to do? How's the NFL going to react to that? How are owners going to react to that? Because the NBA owners understand that this is a smart move overall to get them fresh for the playoffs, but the NFL owners only have a certain number of games. So if they know their star players are not playing on a certain game, that could cost them revenue. And I know owners won't like that. So there's a lot that's still going to be negotiated, I think, down the road. And this can't happen until 2021. The number of games increased yet. So there's still more to haggle about this. So we'll see down the road what it leads to overall. All right. One quick reminder. We're going to jump into 3 people who are waiting to talk to us. One quick reminder, please subscribe if it's your first time catching us here on the Outlaw Nation YouTube channel. Would really appreciate y'all subscribing. Don't forget to subscribe to Jay Washington's channel, to Winston's channel. Go and support them on their Patreon. Support me on our Patreon, and follow them at their social media as well. Get their numbers up and tell them how much you're enjoying this show. Really important. Let's jump into Will the Wheel Man. He's been waiting on us. Will, I'm going to switch out the banner. What's going down, man?
How are you?
Good. Hey. What's your question?
What's going on, Will?
Can everybody
hear
me okay?
Yeah, brother, we can hear you. What's good?
Nothing much. I met John down in Atlanta.
Okay.
I will make sure to say
that's the right way you say it, white man, but go ahead,
yeah, okay. Well, you know what? White chocolate is okay, too.
That's true. I'm a big fan of Jason Williams.
I applaud that, sir.
But I mean, since we're talking about sports, I mean, you were there when football was invented, weren't you, John?
I was there before. I gave that idiot the idea for it. I should have copyrighted it.
You wrote the first rules on stone tablets.
That's right.
Yo, him and Jerry Jones went to high school together with Jesus.
He's the real man for a reason, people. He's the real man for a reason.
No, man, I'm telling you, you need to just put me on the exchange for an IG match.
We'll see, man. That's not my decision. That's Finstock's decision, brother, man. What's your question for us?
No, just it seems like with everything going on, everybody's been doing a lot of trades today.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's just because everybody's stuck in a room and all the owners are going, what are we going to do today?
That's a great question.
I mean,
I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility, Will. That's for sure.
Because I've watched like Adam Schefter and everybody's, every 5 minutes, it's like, oh, here's a trade, here's a trade, here's a trade, here's a trade.
Well, I don't think because when it opened, we didn't get it. Remember when it initially opened free agency, we didn't get that big rush of all this stuff happening.
So now it's playing catch up.
Now it's playing catch up.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be right about that, Will, in the sense that I would not be surprised if they're all trapped in a room somewhere in quarantine because they're all old people and they got to chill. They're all trapped in a room playing like strip poker, and they're out of clothes and out of money, so they got to start trading players. That's pretty much what's happening right now.
I just picture Robert Kraft, Jerry Jones, Jimmy McCaskey all at a table down to their skivvies.
She's like, I ain't taking this bra, but I will trade you Mitchell Trubisky real quick.
No, it ain't even a bra. She's like, I'm not taking off this brassiere. Like,
oh boy,
I love it.
I'm just going to leave that where it is.
Will, you doing all right? What's you got the respirator in there? Is it anything we can give you good wishes for?
No. Everything's good here. I'm on the East Coast.
Okay.
So it's pretty good over here.
Cool. All right.
Nobody's on super lockdown. I mean, the schools are, but everything's
right.
Better over here so far.
Cool.
So just trying to self quarantine and stay away from crowds and just be smart.
Right. Well, I hope we're entertaining you while you're self quarantining, man. Thank you so much.
That is definitely true. I hopped in about 20 minutes ago and y'all ain't right.
I think that should be on the poster to promote this. Y'all ain't right.
Is that what Jake's gonna make as the next thumbnail?
Yeah, I think so. Y'all ain't right. Well, thanks, Will. Send you much love, man. Thanks for joining in, dude. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right, let's move on to our next one here. I got to go to a quick person here. The Raptor. What's this? The Raptor Master. What's going down, brother? How are you?
Very good, John. Very good.
He's a big Redskins fan, by the way, guys.
Oh, gross.
And clearly a Nationals fan by the half.
He is a Nationals fan, but I don't know if he's a bandwagon Nationals fan because they finally won the series, but we'll see.
Hey, my dad's been taking me to the game at RFK though, so from the Browns very young.
I was there when they built that stadium. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, tell it to my dad. But
my God, if you go and look at all the photos of all the greatest moments in history, Rocha always in the back, like, oh my God,
someone should someone should put me in those photos.
This is the best reference because Rocha will love it. If you remember in Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, when Agent Simmons started showing him all the pictures, was like Transformers have been here before, and it was all Agent Simmons, but it was Rocha.
Optimus Prime was there. He was there. Just peeking out.
I was there. Before I say anything else, I was there. I have the special key and the double.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Look at that. That's sweet. Look at that. Love it. What's your question, brother, man?
All right. Let's go back to the CBA for a moment.
Okay.
And I would just talk about I know those are not sort of mean anything, but what do you think with this the playoff format in general? I mean, the 7th seed, it basically is that not two teams having a bye. You have one number 1 seed having the bye though. So what do you think on that though? Sort of advantages right here though.
It's a good question, Jay.
I think that's the best thing. I think you have the top team because now you have to fight for this number 1 seed. Now you can't just coast and saying, well, if we get number 2, we're good. No, you got to fight for this number 1 seed. So that works. And then the other 6 teams have to play their way in. This works perfectly. I think we've always wanted the playoff situation to expand anyway beyond just 6 teams. Let's be honest. There are 32 teams in the league, and to dwindle it down to only 6 when you have these final games where it comes to, okay, they have the same record, but who won the game between the two? That's how we decided, when actually you can open up the field. Now, granted, it's at 7 now. They may go further. I don't think they should go any further than 8, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
8 playoffs on each conference, I think that's perfect.
Yeah, you start walking into NHL territory if you start increasing the number of people, and I always hated that. What about you, Winston?
I mean, that would have been my argument, is that I don't like 7. Just go for the full 8. Like, screw it, and set it up as a situation where, like you kind of have with the NBA, you know, you go in, you have the top 8 teams. It really just comes down to who's holding on to home field. If you want to increase games in the league, that's how you do it, for 2 reasons. First of all, playoff implications are always bigger than regular season games. I understand some of them become playoff games because if you lose, you're out.
Yeah.
But just expand it to 8. Go that way. If that's how you want to add games, I think that's on top of that, how much more do they charge for playoff games? As a fan, that's probably a bad thing, but that's how you generate more revenue. You tell me that this is a higher stakes game, so here you go. And I think that's how you do it. So it's a step in the right direction, but just go the full Monty.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the camp with Jay. I like the idea of increasing the pressure on the number 2 team to try to get that number 1 seed and seeing where it goes from there. And then the idea. Sorry, what's that? Oh yeah,
I just heard bless
you. You know, I like the idea. I like that idea. I dig. You know, if you're going to put competition at the bottom, you got to put competition at the top as well, right? That competition to get that number 7 seed will be just as high as it will be to get that number 1 seed. So you want to have motivation just to make it fair on both sides of the spectrum. So I think that's fair. What about you, Raptor? What do you think?
I find this is going to be very interesting. Like, how they're going to, let's say, use it, but how to sort of means anything in the long haul of things right here. So we've seen some crazy stuff from seeing in playoff games in the past a long time though, like that. So it might be a weird thing in the first year of the 7th seed. A 7th seed team might possibly go to the Super Bowl. We hear some weird stuff going around though. So, and I find it very fascinating right here. And also after the CBA broke right here, I found this online that what if the 7th seed made like 2010 onward or so. I know you just mentioned the Steelers and Rams. They could have had. I see like the previous 18th. I just like, might be interesting. Let me say one of them real quick. I kind of find it very interesting. I put 2010. The Chargers and the Giants would have been more in 2010. 2011 would have the Titans and the Bears right here. And 2012 would have the Steelers and the Bears. 2013 would be the Steelers and the Cardinals. 14 Texans and Eagles. 2015, the Jets and Falcons. 2016, we got the Titans and the Buccaneers. 2017, the Ravens and the Lions. And 18 with the Steelers and Vikings. So I found this very more interesting how they're going to do it, though, here. So, and it might be very interesting.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see. I mean, I think that's exciting. All those teams you mentioned, certainly a few of them were on a run right at the end of the season and could have carried that into playoff victories. If I remember correctly, the Lions were on a hell of a run at the end of that season to get in with Stafford. So it could have been interesting. So, all right. Thanks, Raptor. Appreciate you joining the stream, man. Thank you, brother.
Thanks.
Peace.
See you guys.
Appreciate you.
All right, one more, and then we'll jump into our the rest of the show here. Ferris Mathuna. What's up, Ferris? What's going down, dude?
Oh, snap.
How you guys doing?
It's good. It's good to finally see you. I see you all the time on all the chats and stuff. Good to see what you look like, bro.
Yeah, thanks, Winston. I appreciate the letter, man. That was some dope shit, man. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Of course.
So John, I have 2 questions for everybody. So when you guys were talking about the CBA earlier, and it was a really close vote, as you noted, but I also found out 500 players didn't even vote. So like they didn't even show up and they didn't even care. So they were like, whatever. So what do you guys thoughts on creating more, like, because like voting was important, and if those 500 actually voted, what was the real like honestly like outcome? Because basically like I think it's probably like a third didn't give a shit, like just didn't care.
Yeah, Winston.
Sorry, Winston. I was. Let me just do my second question, and then y'all can go off. My second question is the Texans. So, okay, like hypothetical situation. If you were in charge of them, how would you pitch your owner? Yeah, I'm gonna trade our second best player for scraps.
Good question. But let's start with the first one. Winston, what do you got for the first one?
This is America. Don't get you slipping up. I mean, like look at, not to go political with it because it's a sports show, but look at the fact that how many people didn't show up to the 2016 election. Look at how many people didn't show up to these primaries. You're dealing with a situation where people have taken a mentality that it doesn't fucking matter. Whoever the powers that be are just going to make decisions anyway. Mm-hmm. Those are 500 players that made a decision instead of for themselves, they let other people do it. And that's on them. And I honestly believe that that's where it came from. They're either were caught up because of coronavirus, or they caught up because they didn't care, or they're like, it's my off season, I'm not going to worry about that. Whatever it may be, that's on them. That is the future of your league. That is your potential money. That is your body. But they didn't make decisions like a lot of us don't in these scenarios. So I think that that's what's going on there. And as far as pitching, trading DeAndre Hopkins, again, the only thing that makes rational sense, if you're at a situation where you're like, we generally can only afford to pay 2 of these dudes, I think that you're trying to set yourself up for a position to maybe flip something, because does anybody know how much longer he had on his contract, or was this a contract year?
Oh, DeAndre? I think it was 3 years.
Yeah, he had 3 years.
He had 3 years left.
They had to pay out his contract.
And none of it was guaranteed.
Right.
None of it was well. See, then that's kind of stupid, honestly. But I think that maybe if they thought he wasn't necessarily that because they didn't do very well. You know what I'm saying? Didn't they just miss the playoffs, if I remember correctly, or did they get a wild card?
They made it. They beat the Bills. Then they lost to the Chiefs when they blew that big 24-0 lead.
That's right.
That's right. Remember the joke about that? Everybody was like, Patrick Mahomes was looking at Travis Kelce like, just wait a minute.
No, I remember. That's right.
Because their biggest issue isn't their offense. Their biggest issue is play calling and defense.
Right.
And they got rid of their second best player instead of adding, like, let's say if you're gonna trade him to like the Cardinals, get a pick and get a defensive player, like any defensive player, just get one. But they're like, no, we'll give you DeAndre, just give me a 4th and David Johnson.
But I understand that. But I guess the issue that I think about, if we're going to take it to something that we all know and love, like the Schmodown, for example, if you're sitting here and you're Finstock and you're like, fuck, like all this craziness happening here, we maybe aren't doing everything we want to do. You go, all right, I'm going to trade my second best player in Rocha right now, and then I'm going to try and put something up for the future. To me, looking at some of the stuff, like at least getting a second rounder from him, I think that you are setting yourself up, because, again, there are so many options at wide receiver in this draft. I think if Fuller can stay healthy, we also know that Watson is the most important piece that we have to make sure is good. Mm-hmm. You do have JJ coming back from the defense. To me, the bigger trade that was stupid was trading Clowney. That was dumb. To me, that was a bigger dumbass trade they did in the middle of the season, because you were taking away the other head of the
deep. Yeah. You needed JJ Watt and Jadeveon Clowney, and then you're like, all right, we're just gonna put everything on JJ Watt's shoulders.
Yeah, and he got hurt how many times near the end of the season because of the pressure on him to get that done. I will say this, your first question with the CBA, I think they're doing what they need to do here, what they think is best overall. We'll see how that plays out. But for me, more of the Texans situation is what I'm focusing on. Bill O'Brien has already got a lot of strikes against him as a general manager and as a coach from a number of the fans. This is not going to endear him to the fans. And I get that you want to be bold, but if you're so bold that you put yourself on the hot seat, I haven't seen many coaches survive when they put themselves on the hot seat. So I think this is a massive mistake.
Well, John, I can agree with you on being bold, but there's a difference between being bold and just straight up incompetence.
Well, sure, that's fair. That's fair. And it's always a perspective. Like,
my stars.
No, right. He could be seen incompetent today, but look what we said about John Gruden when he first started out back at the Raiders. We thought, oh, this guy's an idiot. What's he doing? And the Raiders almost made the playoffs.
Oh, he still turned out to be an idiot. Listen, he got rid of Khalil Mack.
He got closer. Because we'll see what Bill O'Brien does.
Yeah, he was still kind of stupid.
Yeah, because as a Bears/Saints fan, when he got rid of Khalil Mack, the Bears fan of me was like, let's go. And looking at the Raiders, you were like, the fuck are you doing?
and they replaced him with they replaced him with I don't know what pick they got. I think it was like the 12th pick or something.
Yeah, something like that.
They basically drafted I don't know. It was they drafted him for a running back and a safety. That's why.
Yeah.
Safety. So,
all right, Jay, anything to say on Ferez's first question or second question?
As far as the Texans go, you just got to see what happens. The first question again was involving the CBA, correct?
Yeah.
The players not voting. A lot of players don't care, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the problem is they don't care until it begins to affect them, and by then it's too late.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And hey, Winston, bro, we talk about this all the time. We talk about this off camera. I get a lot of people don't vote for those reasons in normal elections, and then when it affects them, they're like, well, we got to do something about all this. This is bullshit. But it's like, yo, you could have been a part of the process to avoid all the bullshit.
Exactly.
And so, go ahead, Rooker.
No, I was going to say, I think with something like this, it's a bit more provincial, which is why I think it's a bit more shocking. Like with an overall national election, people can really feel like an ant, and they don't think that matters. But when you're talking about the NFL, and you saw just from the little amount of details that we discussed in the new CBA, everybody was affected, from practice squad players to lower end players to middle players to top players. So to not vote on this, I think was a massive mistake, because it directly affects your life directly. Whereas the overall stuff, you can perceive it as like, oh, it's not going to touch me. It'll be the same when you look at about a national election in terms of politics. But with the NFL, this is your job. Imagine not voting for something at your job that could affect how much you make or don't make, and how much security you get or don't get from the CBA. So that shocks me that 500 players did not vote at all. Like that's malpractice almost.
Out of how many again? Do we know how many total?
Yeah, they're almost 2,000. There's about 2,700 players in the NFL.
That's a quarter of players. Yeah, it's a quarter of the players. But don't worry. That quarter of the players will be on Twitter talking shit. Guaranteed.
Probably.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
The way I see it is like if you because like out of all the players associations in the entire sports, the NFLPA to me is like it's a complete fucking joke. Yep. It's a joke to me, man.
Yeah.
So they keep trying to restructure it. I know people who work. I know some people who are high up in the NFLPA, and they have been trying to work it in the betterment of the players, not the betterment of the owners. They've been trying for the betterment of the players, and a lot of the players don't. They are very pessimistic about it, and it's understandable at times why, but they don't want to give it the benefit of the doubt or even give it a shot.
Yeah, with me, I would be like, if I would call up the MLBPA, be like, hey guys, can you help us out here? Because the MLBPA runs it, man. Because like that's why the Astros, better or not, that's why none of the players got punished. Only the GM and the coach got fired. And then the players were like, we got immunity, because they knew the MLBPA would come after them if they went after the players, right or wrong.
Yeah, right. Job. But now they're getting beaned. They're going to get beaned in all the games when the thing comes back. So they don't really, I mean, it isn't full protection.
It's street justice.
Exactly. Yeah, true. Street justice.
Street justice.
All right, Ferris, we got to move on. Thanks, man. I appreciate the calls. Great to see you, dude. Great to see you.
See you Thursday, John.
Yeah, definitely, bro.
Real quick, I don't know if y'all saw the rumor. I know, right? There's a rumor going on right now that apparently Todd Gurley may be traded to the Buccaneers.
Oh, as if Jameis hasn't thrown enough interceptions. Well, that means what? Could Tom Brady go to the Buccaneers? Oh my God!
Dude, Tom Brady and Todd Gurley. Holy shit!
Yeah, but Todd Gurley ain't the same Todd Gurley though.
Oh, I understand that, but as much money as they paid him and everything,
I mean,
he's gonna strip him off.
If he goes to if Todd Gurley goes to the Bucs, the fact that people will be so happy because now we could possibly see Jameis Winston's interception percentage go down more than anything else.
That's true. Well, we got a special guest coming on now. Let me take the banner off here real quick. Hold on.
I'm afraid for this.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
What up, Jake?
Oh shit!
What up?
Jake Yacovetta on. What's up, bro?
Hey, my bad. I got helicopters fucking flying around over here.
Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it.
Hold on. That isn't comforting the way you just said that. Was like, hey, man, it ain't shit, but just helicopters. Like,
talk about just ghetto birds. Just ghetto birds for no reason.
I don't have a question. I just want to say that this has been a great fucking show.
Oh, thanks, man.
Y'all have killed it.
Thank you.
Jay, we're good, man. Much love. And I want to remind everyone to join Jay, Winston, and John's Patreons. I'll drop the links in the chat. That's all I got. Just wanted to come in.
I'm going to have another sip of tequila for you. I'm going to have another sip.
I got the beer with you, too.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, Jack Yacovetta does my thumbnails for Mornings with the Outlaw. He's done the overlay and the thumbnails for this. He has been
time out. Hold on.
treasure.
Wait, the three of us, me, Winston, and Jake, are drinking something, and Rocha just sitting there looking sad, like, I wish I could drink too.
I'm not sad. I'm happy not to drink. You kidding? I don't want a day drink. Are you nuts?
I'm drinking Kroger flavored pink grapefruit.
Oh, my bad.
That is the softest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Hold on.
I gotta
Bubbly,
go,
baby. Bubbly. It ain't just for Michael Bublé.
Hey, man, I have to look. I'm training. Even though they canceled my 5K, I'm still training, man. So, I can't get drunk in the middle of the day.
Can you stop? Don't use that word because I don't know how to train right now. I'm lost. I can't go to a gym. I can't lift gym.
Go for a run, sir. Go for a run.
My knees ain't shit.
Also, aren't you the one weren't you the one cussing me out when I couldn't do an incline push-up? Nigga, why don't you put your feet up on the bed and do an incline push-up or decline? What's wrong with you?
Do diamonds.
I can do all of those, but I want to have the weights in my hand to feel the strength in my arms.
He's just mad because he can't take a picture of the gym and post on social media. That's the truth.
That's actually what it is. That's
what it is. Thanks, Jake, man. Much love to you, brother.
Thank you so much. I hate you, bitches. Because it's true.
I'm a little too zoomed up. Let me pull myself back. All right, let's jump into our next topic. Are you guys still good to hang on for a little bit, or you got to run?
We good.
All right.
I'm here. Like, let's go.
I love it.
Because I'm ready on this. I'm ready on this real conversation. You know which one I want to talk about.
All right. Yeah. That's right. Oh, well, should we jump into it now? I mean, we're going to talk about NBA. We're supposed to talk about NBA.
Whatever you want to do. I'm here. So whatever you want to do.
Let's get through this NBA thing real quick. So the NBA, of course, is suspended for 30 days for right now. But there is a clause in the contract in the CBA. Speaking of a CBA, the NBA CBA, it's at the top of page 468 of the 600 or 700 page CBA. Lord God Almighty. It is the language from Article 39, which is titled Termination by the NBA / Force Majeure. It refers to so-called acts of God, such as a natural disaster or extraordinary and uncontrollable circumstances. Article 39 details the circumstances that would make it impossible for the NBA to perform its contractual obligations. It lists chemical warfare, terrorism, tornadoes, and it also lists epidemics. And they define epidemics as an outbreak of a disease that spreads quickly and affects many individuals at the same time.
Yeah, this is the best thing about this rule you were about to say.
Yeah, we look at this coronavirus. The NBA could contend that this COVID-19 virus qualifies as an epidemic, and teams can withhold pay from players for games missed.
Not even just that. There's another part you missed.
Yeah, and
because of the season suspension,
yeah,
the team with the highest winning record would become the NBA champions. And by default, ladies and gentlemen, listen, hold on, put your ears back. So I'll tell them when you come back. But by default, ladies and gentlemen, due to that, if everybody thought it was something that was going to make it magical happen, the Los Angeles Lakers would become the 2020 NBA champions.
Yep.
That is crazy.
Right. And well, and a lot of people are saying they're not going to do this and they're not going to do that, and they, it would risk.
Now I'm drinking a beer.
Okay.
Now I got a beer. Right.
But it would risk issues with the overall situation with the players, and of course with the harmony of the league. And I don't think Adam Silver will let them do this. But that being said, if the owners start to lose money, owners are panicky about their money. So if they don't have to pay players because this thing drags on, as Jay said, possibly till July, then you're pushing way into the future of the NBA season. And we start canceling the European or the G League, whatever it is, the
G League, the NBA G League.
You're pushing the playoffs into what, July, August, September. You're pushing the finals into that when the NFL is starting. You can't have the finals going up against the NFL. That's a losing proposition.
The problem with that, if you do it, you push it to the time where the season is supposed to get ready to start again.
Yes, exactly. Which could mess up a lot of things there too, as well.
But I would make the argument, you don't just crown a player. That's bullshit. There's a reason why you do the playoffs. There's a reason why certain things play out, injuries, everything else. I think what you do at that point is you just call the season.
Yeah.
And there is no champion. Like, let's not do that. Okay. Like, we already had a scandal.
Oh, sorry. It would be, I'm sorry. You didn't hear. It's not, I'm sorry. It was the Lakers at the time. Everybody talked about it. If they cancel the season, there's a bylaw that the team with the highest winning record
is that not the Lakers? That's why I walked away so angry.
Right. Yeah. It's not anymore. I just checked somebody, and then somebody said in the chat, and I wanted to double check. It would be the Lakers are. It's the Bucks. The Lakers are 49-14.
The
Lakers are 49-14. The Bucks are 53-12. I apologize about that.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. If that's what happens, if the Bucks become champions. No, but I'm going to tell you something. Here's the thing. I guarantee you they don't want that. Because they don't want to win a championship that way. They're not the Astros. Yeah. They're not the Astros. They don't want to just have shit handed to them.
No one wants an asterisk championship. No one wants an asterisk championship.
You don't. You really don't. And so it's one of those situations which also, if that makes the Lakers number 2, does that mean that LeBron lost another finals? That's technically what that is.
That's terrible. I shouldn't laugh because I'm a LeBron fan, but that's terrible.
It just came to my mind. I saw someone write LeBron's pinky ring, and I definitely was like, okay, that's actually really funny. But I understand having that in there because that is a real thing. Because like we were concerned at the beginning of the year about World War III, like shit would have stopped for that too. You know what I'm saying? So I get this whole withholding the
2020 been real already, y'all. It's only 3 months.
2020 gave us a world war. The death of a legend gave us the worst Black History Month of all time.
A pandemic.
Apart from the Black History Months that weren't Black History Months yet and were just regular slavery, those were definitely worse.
Those were definitely worse. But as of right now, this is in a recent generations. This Black History Month is taking a major L.
Coronavirus. That bars are now officially dead. Bars and restaurants are dead for however long, you know what I'm saying? And now you just don't say, now you just go, the Astros got away with cheating, and now you're just going to tell me you're just going to hand the Bucks the title? Like,
again, I know who I blame for all of this. I keep telling everybody there is one person to blame for all this shit that's been happening this year, maybe the past 4 or 5 years. His name is Barry Allen. He's known as the fastest man alive, and he decided to go back in time and save his mama from dying one day. And since he did that shit, we've been living it up.
Wait, John, put that last quote from Nicholas. That's who I blame. I blame that
person. No, I don't want to get blocked by OJ on Twitter.
Come on, man. Hold on. Y'all know that the Costco that he took the picture at with the mask was the Costco I was working at this past week. So my coworker was like, yeah, OJ just walked by me. And I was like,
First of all, who says OJ walked by me so terrified? Like, yo, OJ just walked by me.
Yo, but the funniest thing that happened is he posted on Twitter something along the lines of like, yo, this this coronavirus is nothing to mess around with. And someone responded with, yeah, game recognized game, killers recognize killers. So
somebody said, I saw a meme that said, yo, when killers out here shopping for it, you know it's real.
Long story short, I think the one thing I'm pissed off about is I was supposed to see my very first Luka game tonight. Luka versus the Clippers, and that got completely scrapped.
I've been wanting to text you about it for the longest, but I've been trying to figure out how do I say it without sounding like an asshole. Because I was going to giggle my ass off like, hey, bro, ain't that game
today? Terrible.
As a true friend would. As a true ball-busting friend would. Let me get to one quick super chat. StreamLabs that came through. It said, unfortunately, the real reason Hopkins was traded wasn't as strategic. This is from Alec Miller. He says, Bill O'Brien has shown that he is willing to trade a player for scraps if they don't fall in line. Happened with Clowney last year, and now Hopkins. He was given the keys, and he is abusing his power. That could be the situation there for real. It could just be that Bill O'Brien is one of these coaches that is a hard ass and doesn't like to be questioned and pushes back on players and trades them. We saw that with Gruden over in Oakland with Khalil Mack. Certainly did with Keyshawn Johnson way back when. So this does happen every once in a while. But Bill O'Brien has no credibility to do this, so it's a little strange.
But the only thing I will say with Gruden that to me is stupid, he let Antonio Brown do whatever the hell he wants, but he went to take Khalil Mack.
That's
like
true.
I only hold so much weight to him doing that. And Bill O'Brien, if that's what I now know is going on,
yeah,
the Texans deserve everything bad that's about to happen to them. Then I feel bad for the city of Houston. Their one championship winning team is a bunch of cheaters. Their other one that was kind of always almost there looks a lot like the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they're never really going to be able to get over that hump.
Yeah.
And now the other team that had a shot is just kind of so.
It's true.
You petty.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll see what happens with the NBA, and we'll say, this is going to be, because I mean, what's really great is a lot of the owners are stepping up, like Mark Cuban, and they're going to pay their workers, but for the next month. But we'll see how that plays out. If this thing extends out longer and longer and longer, I don't think those plans will necessarily stay in place, and that's where the concern starts to come.
Well, like here in California for us, and it does apply to professional athletes as well, they've waived the unemployment thing. So you can technically file for unemployment if you are a professional athlete. I know a lot of people think that's not possible, but you get a paycheck from a company. So you can file for unemployment. So these players, minor league players more specifically, can file for unemployment to hopefully be covered throughout all this. The fact that Winston went and got another beer, you all can't say nothing about me about my one cup.
Wow.
Winston's an alcoholic.
He slid that in there.
First of all, it's my first drink. Second of all I was going to say was because the other one I told you was seltzer pink grapefruit water. All I was going to say is the one thing that I did take a little bit offense to. I love the fact that Zion Williamson did what he did for the workers at that stadium and has taken that over for 30 days. I hate that though, because he's 19. So even if he like is making that good money, I hate the fact that this is not. Why aren't the owners doing that? Why aren't they stepping up like Mark Cuban and taking responsibility for their workers like that? I think that to me, again, while I appreciate his
I can tell you why. I can tell you exactly why. Because again, owners aren't as we've seen Mark Cuban be
Mark Cuban's
more
special. He's a unicorn.
Right. We've seen him be more than just the owner of an NBA team.
Right. He's a fan. He's a genuine fan.
He's a fan, and he understands and appreciates. It's not just about those 10, 12 players on the bench that play on the court and whatnot. It's about everybody else that works in that arena.
Yeah, agreed.
Right.
Well, let's jump in.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All I was going to say is just from the standpoint too is that one of the things, not only stepping into that, but I mean not necessarily coming from like a crazy amount and earning his way up. I mean, he knows what that is, and you look at the fact that even how. When Ternima Ussery was put on blast for all the shit he was doing inside of that league, or that he was doing inside that office, you saw how he took it very seriously, and he got him not only the fuck out there, but he did everything he could to make that environment better. Like he genuinely cares. So
yeah, that's a fair point. Well, let's jump into the topic now that Jay's been waiting on, and that is the UFC and the WWE. We were going to talk about the fact that these are the only two quote unquote sports leagues. Of course, the UFC is a sport, WWE sports entertainment, but they are in essence tied to sports because of WWE's connection with ESPN. They're the only two leagues that are still going forward with their stuff. But as we came to start recording, the UFC issued a tweet or a statement. I think, Winston, you sent that on to me here in private chat. It says this weekend's UFC event, as well as March 28th and April 11th events, have been indefinitely postponed per an email from Dana White to all of the UFC employees. I find that to be funny considering what he had said. He said, unless there's a total shutdown of the country where people can't leave their houses and things like that, these fights will happen. That's what Dana White said.
So you're saying that this is Dana White's fault?
No, I'm saying this is Dana White walking back on his words.
No, but that's what he just said. You just said, unless there is a complete and total shutdown of the country, which is exactly what just happened.
Yeah,
this is his fault.
Well, I still think if you're getting carry out and delivery, you're not fully shut down. He said, we're not going to move on. These guys will compete. We'll find venues. We'll figure this thing out. I mean, the only thing that's going to stop us is a complete government shutdown where everyone is confined to their homes. And that hasn't necessarily happened. I think what happened was a lot of the fighters and a lot of the fans were like, well, we're not going to go to these events. It doesn't make any sense. And the fighters maybe got worried that they could get into a situation. Certainly Tyrone Woodley already said he's not going to fight in that fight that was coming up. The British challenger said, I'm not flying from the UK with all these restrictions. It makes no sense. So a lot of things were brought up, and maybe public pressure finally got him to bow. The other side of this thing is the WWE. Still, we don't know what is happening with WrestleMania. I talked to Ryan Satin, and he told me he feels like it might get postponed. I talked to a couple of people. Certainly, CM Punk thinks it's going to get postponed or canceled, possibly. And there's a lot. Jen Sturger tweeted about Tampa and how the coronavirus cases are starting to sweep through Tampa because there's not enough testing there. There's a lot of danger in this whole situation. And this is from the ESPN. WrestleMania 36 appears to be on the ropes after his Hillsborough County Commissioner Les Miller said he probably will have to cancel the event if WWE doesn't make the decision itself because of the coronavirus pandemic. They're going to wait another week before they finally make a decision. It's a game of chicken, Jay. You as a professional wrestler, this is a game of chicken that doesn't even need to be happening. Why is this happening?
First and foremost, I do want to give my heart and thoughts out to all of my brothers and sisters in the ring who have lost many, many bookings due to this. A lot of people are suffering income in ways you just don't see.
True.
And professional wrestlers, no matter how you may feel about the industry, many men and women make their living off of this, and especially Mania Week in itself, which has been postponed. Next, Vince McMahon is not going to do a thing. You want to know why? Owen Hart. Owen Hart died in the middle of the show. And of course, I understand the show must continue. The fact that they even made the announcement during the show that Owen Hart died. It was, he fell, went to the back, like 2 segments later, a match or something else, Owen Hart had died. Vince McMahon, if he could, he would do the event with no people in it. Want to know why? We've seen SmackDown has already been from the Performance Center. Raw tonight will be from the Performance Center, and both with no crowds. Vince McMahon,
weird.
It's weird, but also this is the credit you have. It is very weird because we're not used to seeing this. However, this is the credit you have to give to all of those men and women who bust their asses night in and night out to still put on the same goddamn show that they put on with a packed arena. I saw a lot of people like, oh, this is weird. The one thing I love is they never changed what they did. They had to learn to adjust. John Cena did a video where he watched 205 Live and was like, I've never been in this situation. Many guys and girls come from the indies where we've had these little to no crowds and have still put on a show. And I understand WrestleMania is the biggest thing in the world. It is in some instances bigger than the Super Bowl. Whether you want to believe it or not, Vince McMahon is stubborn. Vince does not want to cancel it. Vince McMahon will not cancel or postpone. He is going to force the city's hand to do it. So he can say, I didn't cancel it. Vince McMahon is going to make sure he's like, oh, well, I didn't postpone WrestleMania. I wanted it to go on. The city of Tampa decided to do it. Vince McMahon is money hungry. He's greedy, no matter what anybody thinks. He has these different organizations and different things that help out throughout the WWE. That's a steal, but he's not over those. Vince wants this to go. Now, also, here's something a lot of people don't know. It is starting to slowly but surely come out. A lot of the wrestlers themselves are very uncertain about this.
Well, certainly, and not to jump in, I'm going to let you finish your point. Certainly, Ryback said that about a week ago on his YouTube studio show that he had spoken to some wrestlers behind the scenes, and they felt that they were worried about it, and they felt it was going to be postponed or canceled at some point. Jay, go ahead. Sorry.
Leo Rush has recently come out in an interview with Forbes saying he's going to take he doesn't feel comfortable doing this because NXT will tape tonight with Raw from the Performance Center. And so he's like, yo, I'll just focus on my music career in the time being. You know, I'll stay in shape however I can. But the thing is, these men and women, I don't care how you feel about the business. These are still men and women, which a lot of you don't understand. A lot of the men are married with families, and a lot of the women, maybe not the newer batch, but some are still mothers. They are mothers, and a lot of them are married as well. So a lot of people are very concerned about this. Yes, of course, a lot of people are like, well, it's not going to be that spread. It is not just because of them contracting it, excuse me. It's them spreading it. And in this situation, WrestleMania is this big thing. Every professional wrestler dreams of being on. Every professional wrestler dreams of this.
Yeah, and Jay, the thing is, and Winston, I'll get your thoughts on this too. You look at the situation and you go, even Raw tonight, which is of course a way smaller event than WrestleMania, it feels weird without fans. How weird would it be to do a WrestleMania in a 70,000 seat stadium or 60,000 and there's no fans and you're just doing the WrestleMania? Where are the pops going to come from? It's not going to feel anywhere near real. Part of the joy of watching these things is being caught up with the TV audience of what you're watching. I don't know what your experience is with wrestling, professional wrestling rather, Winston, but what's your reaction to all of this? Does this set a bad precedent here, what Vince is doing?
I think the issue here, and I get it, Vince likes to be that guy that the show must go on, but first of all, you just canceled the XFL. So let's be real. Let's be real. For the season, you have already done that. So let's be real here. The second thing, honestly, is the story that I've seen happen is that the WWE is demanding if Tampa cancels it, which they're trying to force them to do, they're demanding the insurance money. He's so hell bent on not losing this out.
Yeah.
It's about the money. And that's part of what makes him such a great businessman, because he's a shark, but it also is what makes him a greedy businessman. It's the type of businessman that people talk about and go, you're the scum, because you're really going to force people to do something like that. Yeah. So I think on the one hand, I hear everything you said, Jay, about they have been working hard for this moment. This is your Super Bowl. This is your everything to get to this point. Mm-hmm. But I think in the same way that like we're all making massive sacrifices right now. I mean, Jay, you know that I had a huge meeting planned for next week or last week that just got completely scrapped. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it comes up in a couple of weeks when this is all settled down. But it got scrapped because that's what happens in a moment like this. Sometimes life just doesn't play in your favor. So I think as much as that sucks, it doesn't mean that there won't be another opportunity. Doesn't mean that there's not another way for them to get that again. I think that it's just a sacrifice that we're all making right now because, again, it's one thing if you're talking about they're losing their jobs for good. The people that I feel bad for are the bartenders, are the waiters, are the people like us that are working those service industry or those entertainment jobs that you're literally talking about. Now, if this cuts off right now, now you're wondering where your next meal is coming from, where your rent is coming from. Right. These wrestlers, I know that they're not making, Ryan Tannehill money, but they're making good money. And if they cancel WrestleMania, as much as it sucks for that moment, they will be okay. So I think that's more my concern, I guess.
And I hear you. And I think you're right that they'd be okay to a degree, but they might not be employed by the WWE because if WWE takes too bad of a hit, it's the wrestlers that are going to get cut.
And also they're problem. And they are not. And one thing a lot of people forget is that the wrestlers of the WWE are not employees of the WWE. They are independent contractors.
Independent contractors.
And that blows. But I will be honest with you is that this seems more of like a bit like, for example, you working your bouncer job, me working the House of Blues thing. You're talking about crowds that aren't going to get much larger than 100 or 150, especially at a moment like this. So it sucks for us. But if WrestleMania is happening, guess what's going to happen? The 20, 30,000 fans that were going to show up to that stadium are going to show up.
70.
And that's my point. That's a huge problem. That is a huge problem.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I get that with the fans not showing, but Vince's intent possibly on doing the show from that whole arena empty.
I mean, look, it works in certain instances. Like the debate, I think, was more succinct last night.
The debate isn't indicative. The debate doesn't need a crowd.
No, but that's what I'm saying, though. I think the crowd, where we realized watching that, was actually more distracting than it was helping. I think when you're talking about something that is actually performance-based, where the crowd is a part of the show. You need them there. It's the same reason that they decided to kind of go against the NBA and the March Madness shit is because the same thing. It's not to the same level of wrestling. That basketball game doesn't clip as hard if you're not draining 3 threes in a row and everybody's like, oh, shit, oh, my God. Otherwise, it's just what I was concerned about, and we made a joke about this. I was going to make a sketch, but I couldn't get to a big enough gym to do it. Of like, it's the NBA players play. It's like, hey, nigga, pass me the ball. Like, you know how many niggas we would have heard?
You know how many
NBA?
How many motherfuckers you hear on the court?
You would have heard so many.
Hey, Rocha, you have a comment here that I think it needs to be brought up. The Dragon Reborn one. Dragon Reborn. If you could pull that one up, because this is something very important for people to understand with this one. It's saying that Impact Wrestling is covering their wrestlers for missed bookings for TV, which is great. But also Impact Wrestling is owned by Anthem, which is a gigantic company. And so it's smaller in scale. The production of what it is smaller in scale, but it's still a great thing. Will Vince McMahon do that? I don't know. The guys and the girls aren't talking. I can ask a few. I don't know if they'll give out that information. But I think what'd you say?
No, go ahead.
I just think it sucks because, again, they are making good money, Winston. You are absolutely right. But at the same time, we always consider when we hear someone making good money that it automatically equates to they'll be fine for a minute. But we don't know what that money sometimes is going to.
Right.
Yeah. Because this is even with NFL NBA players.
I don't disagree. And you're going to live the life by what you have means to do. I get that. I'm just saying that it is such a night and day difference. It doesn't mean I don't have empathy for them. Of course I do. But if you have to scale, it sucks. But if you have to scale back and like not be in like a much nicer house or something, like it fucking blows. Whereas you're talking about people that genuinely in that service industry, in like example, are concerned about being homeless. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think these wrestlers are going to go bankrupt and go homeless over this.
Yes.
That's my difference.
Yeah, okay, we'll find out. We'll find out, certainly. I mean, this is a game of chicken. They're going to play all week, and of course, please go and read all the updates on Pro Wrestling Sheet. My boy Ryan Satin with his website there that he does got all the. He's got a thing from the Hillsborough County officials discussing WrestleMania situation at Coronavirus Council meeting article up, and he's also tweeted out some of the video from that meeting there. So please go and follow Ryan and the stuff that he's doing there. We got one to kind of lighten the mood a little bit, and that's from Dragon Reborn again. It says, have you guys seen marble racing on YouTube? It's Grand Prix style. I had an edible last night, and I was highly entertained.
Hey, I have not, but I guess I'm gonna go look it up now.
Well, after the show.
That's
right. All right, we're gonna wrap up in about maybe a little bit in a few minutes. We got a couple people waiting to talk to us. You guys good?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. This is Matty Gunner. What's up, Matty? How are you, brother?
What's up, gents? How are you?
Good. What's going down, man?
How you doing over there, man?
Yeah, not bad, thanks, man. Jay, impassionate speech, man. I loved it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That was awesome. I just want to add on to the UFC topic, if I may. So I'm guessing you guys saw the email that the London event, the Columbus event, and the Portland event have all been cancelled.
Indefinitely postponed is what they said, not canceled. Indefinitely postponed.
Oh, yes. Sorry, indefinitely postponed. My mistake. Sorry.
That's their legalese.
Another thing that's happening is the Nevada Athletic Commission are holding off on the decision for the UFC to hold fights in their Apex Center until I think March 25th is when they're going to make the decision, which leads me to my question for you guys. As you know, fighters, we don't have a union like the NBA, the NFL. There is no collective bargaining agreement for us fighters.
Right.
Where do you guys stand on athletic commissions taking a firmer stance with promoters that try to say, okay, we're going to put a card together on 6 days notice. Who wants it? You have to, as far as I'm aware, they're not even testing for coronavirus in medicals.
Right.
So where do you guys stand on athletic commissions need to take a firmer approach?
This is interesting to me. And I'll chime in first real quick. I never trust athletic commissions because so much has come out with how many of them have been on the take, on the sly, on the side with these situations, and their jobs depend on sanctioning fights and sanctioning cards. So the last thing they want to do is to keep canceling fights, keep sanctioning cards, or being too hard about this kind of stuff. So it's always a PR game with them. I think they should be harder. Absolutely. I think they should always put these people to the most, have them meet as many limits as they have to meet, or restrictions, be under as many restrictions as possible to have a clean situation and a good fight and err on the side of the fighters. I think that's what they should do as a commission, but more often than not, they will err on the side of the promoters because of that money that's coming into the city. And there's probably political pressure on them as well. So that's the unfortunate kind of catch-22 of the whole situation.
I agree with you completely. Athletic commissions can be either a good thing or a bad thing. And in recent history, we've heard of them being a bad thing. And the fact that you said, Maddie, that these commissions are literally trying to rush to put a card together. They're not doing medicals. They're not testing, especially when it comes, especially with the UFC. Again, I know the WWE is one thing. The UFC fighters are busted open every single chance. Fighters are sweating. They're bleeding. They're breathing heavy, literally on top of each other every moment. I think this is a very bad decision. Now, Vegas in itself has made the MGM properties have shut down. They're shutting down Vegas. So the fact that they're shutting down Vegas speaks volumes. And a lot of people were like, at first, I'm still going to go to Vegas. Well, when Vegas was like, no, the hell, you're not. I don't think this should be allowed. I think as much as it does suck for a lot of people, myself included, who hate being in the house by themselves, it's something we are going to have to hanker down with. Unfortunately, fighters are just going to have to find ways to train. And I just think everything will eventually blow over. It'll blow over. But I think commissions shouldn't push anything for it to make it happen, because just for the sake of saying we need revenue.
Yeah.
No, I honestly think that, and this is a conversation that's bigger than sports, honestly. I think with the exception of essential personnel, so you're talking about law enforcement, you're talking about medical, you're talking about stores, and I would even make some argument with some restaurants, like if they allow for any sort of delivery or takeout type stuff.
Well, that's still happening right now.
No, I know. I think that those are the only examples of people still needing to be out. Otherwise, fights aren't important, sports aren't important. Like, none of that's important in the sense that we're talking about. We still don't know the full implications of what this is going to do. So I do think that there's a step back that needs to happen.
Yeah, I think so too. What do you think, Maddie? What's your opinion on it?
Well, it's something that's been kind of affected by myself in the fight game. Like, I went into the gym the other day for sparring, and there was no one there.
Oh, wow.
So and the gym that I train at is normally absolutely thriving on Thursday nights when we spar, and there was no one there. Yeah. I think it is, as Winston said, it's a bigger conversation, but keeping it like within the sport. Boxing has the Ali Act to protect them. You know, us MMA fighters, there's no union or anything to protect from this, shady shit. I mean, even one championship over in Asia, they're still holding events behind closed doors. They're not canceling their events.
Right.
I think that this becomes a moment then where now is the moment that changes. I think the fighters need to be able to come together and go, yo, they're literally we already put our lives on the line because we do a very dangerous sport, like a sport that could cost us our lives. We're aware of that. But to needlessly put us in harm's way, we won't stand for that shit anymore. And that's where unions end up being born. It's a fight, but now's the time to do it. You know what I mean?
100%.
I'm sorry for laughing. I'm actually following up the story in Tampa with the people at the beaches.
Yeah.
Because they're literally at the beaches, and all this is entangled. And somebody put up a GIF of Bugs Bunny cutting off the state of Florida and just letting it float away.
That makes sense. That makes so much sense. Well, Matty, you know how it always bullshit always rolls downhill, man. It's always the fighters at the bottom of the heap that get screwed by this kind of stuff. So hopefully you hope for more human empathy in situations like this, but you can't always depend on it when it comes to promoters or people involved who are trying to get some money off the fighters themselves. That's the shame of it all.
Also, Maddie, thank you for the DM. I just saw it on Twitter. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
man.
No worries, dude. Your speech got to me, man, especially like someone like yourself, you're going through like losing gigs and stuff. I could potentially lose a bout. So, all these creators, man, like everyone watching in the chat, go support these guys. They're putting the time and effort in to entertain us. So show your love, show some support, and, help everyone else out.
You, man. Appreciate that, Maddie. Thank you so much, brother. And thanks for calling in, dude.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Take care. Well, there you go, man. That's a good stuff from Matty Gunner, talking all that stuff about the fighters and everything that's going down with that. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. We want certain things to happen, but other things, the reality of it is sometimes the fighters are the ones that get squeezed and lose out on the income because all these people, owners and higher up executives, they've got their money stashed away, but the fighters are the ones fighting fight to fight, and they could really lose out on this whole situation more than anyone else. And it's a shame. All right, we got one other guy in here. I got to bring him in. He's gonna cause a ruckus. I know that. J-Dog, what's going on, my man?
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to not sell my WrestleMania tickets per se, but certainly my Spirit airline. I'm gonna have to do that next week.
What? Don't, Jesus, no, don't.
Gonna have to, Tampa. It's not gonna happen, guys. Vince McMahon, you called it.
They're gonna fuck around and charge you for trying to cancel. They're gonna charge you for the coronavirus.
Yeah, bro, it shouldn't have happened if you were taking Spirit to get there anyway. It shouldn't have happened. But yeah, go ahead.
I was looking for a good deal, and I got one. A little too good.
Yeah, but you gotta.
No, it's just I'm calling. No, I'm calling it out, guys. I know WrestleMania. It's not going to happen. Let's face it, it's not going to happen. It's the game of chicken that Vince McMahon is playing with the Hillsborough County department in the city of Tampa. It's going to happen. That they're going to pull the plug. It won't be WWE that said it, and that won't be. It'll be the city, and it'll be a fiasco. And my WrestleMania 36 T-shirt will be a collector's item, and I was also going to wear, because I bought an Apex 1992 Tampa Bay Bucks hat, the creamsicle. I was going to wear that the day of. So I was going to have the current WrestleMania logo, which is basically the current Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's what they were kind of getting at. And the old school Tampa Bay Buccaneers in nice, sunny Florida. Not going to happen.
My goodness.
Sorry. That's a lot at once, my man.
Yo, real talk, Jay. Can I just say, I got to real quick. You do have like the best radio voice maybe of all time, sir.
Well, I'm in radio. This is my radio station right there. So I'm at work now. So
no, I'm just saying your bosses did a great job hiring you
I
because
feel like
you
we should be
1,000% have the tools.
I feel like we should be called.
Seriously, to win your tickets on Spirit Airlines to go to WrestleMania, I definitely feel like we should be in a contest from something you're giving out.
Well,
be the fifth caller. No. Yeah.
Right. I need to win out Spirit tickets. I'll let them win it.
Hey man, I'm not trying to become a Spirit.
Call them
I
no
definitely will not be getting on that plane.
Yeah, I know. This was going to be my first WrestleMania.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was going to be your first WrestleMania? Oh, damn.
Yeah. So and now hopefully next year if it's in LA, and again, you never this thing, guys, this coronavirus could be a lot more than a year. This is how bad it's looking, you know?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
I wonder, and
I
this
don't
is a
think
great point.
I don't think it will because.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Oh, he's going in and out.
I don't think it will be more than a year because other countries have. Okay, let me stop everything I was running. Okay, because I was running extra stuff. I'm done.
Yeah.
Why are you running extra stuff? What are you doing?
Yeah, you're filtering. We might have hit the limit.
Stuff just popped up on the computer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's
okay,
out. Okay, stop talking for right now because. Okay, there we go. What I want to say was like, this is a situation, this is a sad situation if it's your first WrestleMania, because obviously you want to be there and experience it. And I wonder overall what you just said might be the truth, that they're only doling out the information to us on a month-by-month basis, saying like, oh, this will be done by July. But in fact, their prognosticators behind the scenes are thinking it's going to be a whole nother year. They just know Americans can only handle it if you say it's only a couple of months and then a couple of months and then a couple of months. It's no different than a workout. 5 more reps. Wait, I thought you said 10. No, 5 more. Give me 5 more. It's like that. You know, we can mentally handle it if it's in increments. If we see a whole 12 months of this lifestyle situation, then it becomes an issue. I think maybe that might be behind this.
Can I talk now?
Sorry.
Okay.
You're synced up now. You're good.
Okay, cool. Here's what I think. I don't think it'll be that long because other countries are now ahead of us. You have China.
You also jumped on it ahead of us too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. What will happen is those countries will have those private companies, which will end up bringing the virus in other ways. And the vaccine's in. I'm pretty sure this is going to be contained by August at the latest. I don't think you can allow with everything the implication this is happening all around the country. Right. You can't allow this to happen more than a year because it'll never recover.
But at the same time, what do you mean allowed? You're gonna tell a virus, hey virus, stop it. I'm tired of your shit, virus.
First of all, when I felt my first earthquake here, I put my hand on the wall because it was shaking and told it to stop. Now, I might have been drunk. I might have been a little tipsy, but I told it stop. So the shit's possible.
You're not Avalanche. You didn't do anything. I'm just going to tell you right now. So, look, it's obviously like if a year is bad, a year is really bad. Then you're starting to talk about people that are working from home. A lot of them are working from home because they're still able to put their products forth or everything else. They're going to start running in trouble. So yes, economically, a year of this, we're kind of fucked. But I think you're right. Is that it would be wise if they do know this is actually not a 1 to 2 month situation. This is a 6 month to a year situation. Not to tell us right now. Yeah, and I think that is 100% also how you potentially force yourself into, like you said with the WWE. That's how you force yourself into getting your insurance claim. Is if you just straight up know, well, it wasn't going to happen, and you cancel it, you get nothing. If Vince forces the city's hand, it's the only way he gets any money out of this.
Yep, true. And he's going to lose a lot too. So that's the thing at the end of the day, that he's trying to recoup it some way, somehow, because the subscriberships are down, the viewership is down. He has to keep that money. He has to find a way to get that money, right, Jay?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I thought I know what you
said.
We got Jay Washington and J Dog. Whole lot of but no, it's just to your point though, guys. Yes, Vince McMahon will find any way he can. He's a businessman. Yep. This is how it works. This has been his modus operandi for about 50 or so years, and he's going to do his thing with the city of Tampa to fleece them for a little bit more, a little cash.
Yeah. I don't doubt it at all. Well, Jay, thanks for chiming in, dude. We got about 7 minutes left. We got one more person behind you. Do you mind if I get to them? My man.
We're good.
Take care, brother. Jay's awesome, dude. I love that guy.
That's great.
He's been on a few times here. He's so cool. All right, one last guy.
That radio voice, man. Damn.
I know. He's got that radio voice.
I've been working on my smoking grandmother. Oh, hello, Ryan. It's so good to see you, young man.
Ryan.
Hey, darling. How you doing?
It's been a long time.
Glad to see you on the street.
You're on with Game Time, Ryan. Go ahead. What's your question?
What's your question?
My question is about if they do WrestleMania as an empty arena, do you think if they use counts? I'm gonna put an end to that right now. I got a master host later. I can't do that shit now, man. But in all seriousness, if they do WrestleMania as an empty arena, do you think they would have the canned sounds? Because I know they have them. Because if you watch fucking like anything on YouTube, they automatically change the audio on shit.
Yeah, they do.
Well, so let me tell you something. This is my thoughts on that. I always told you that Vince McMahon will go with. I got to give my Stephen A. Smith. Well, let me tell you something. Okay, Vince McMahon will go in the production truck and he will tell them use all the canned sounds in the arena. I don't give a damn if you don't see people. There are people there in spirit. Okay, and you know who spirit is there? The great LeBron James. LeBron James, who has made it to the top of the NBA mountain.
Look here, Pim. Here's the thing. If for some reason you might find yourself without a WrestleMania with any fans in the stands, you would probably smoke some glorious weed and find yourself in a situation all of a sudden it seems like everybody is in the audience.
Well,
pimpin', listen, if you sometimes take a little bit of what we like to call fuck it, you can go out there and perform to the utmost of your abilities. You know what I'm saying? You go out there, and I know there is the performance-enhancing drugs. And I know that the WWE has the wellness policy, but there's also called the greenness policy, nigga. But I'm telling you is God has made edibles for you and me, nigga. Listen, this man can take a steroid cocktail with a blunt, okay?
I mean, clearly I've smoked too many cigarettes to be able to properly do a Cat Williams like that, but that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
I don't even know how to follow that up. I don't have a Gabriel Iglesias one I can pull, so I got no fluffy imitation, so that's all I can do. But I will say to you, I wouldn't put it past I don't think it's going to happen. Obviously, I think everyone pretty much believes it's not going to happen. But if it was going to happen, Ryan, I absolutely would not put it past the WWE to put canned sounds onto this thing to try to do the best, try to make the best out of the situation. As you said, they do go back and kind of lower the booze on certain matches, especially some of those Cena matches when he was deep in the booze and Roman Reigns as well, deep in the booze. They turn those things down a little bit when they've got those situations on some of those matches. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did it with WrestleMania if they were going to do it, because they do want you to at least try to enjoy it. So maybe in their own way.
Well, Rocha, nigga, they would boo the shit out of Cena. I swear to God, it's Cena versus the Fiend, nigga. That nigga with the dreadlocks and the weird face. Who would not boo a dude with a lantern for his face? I'm telling you.
Oh boy, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I mean,
Ryan, thoughts? Ryan, impressions?
Well, I just want to say I do appreciate the what's the word I'm looking for? The
show.
Take some weed, nigga. Get the words Get the words out of your mouth.
It's right there on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, on the top of your tongue. You can use the word. Say it with me. Marijuana.
I do want to say I do appreciate the takes from both, Rocha and Jay. I mean, Jay, you're in the business, and Rocha, you started this business dressed as the bear back in the Carney days, didn't you?
I did. Those were the
Wait
tough
a minute,
days.
is this midsummer? Is this nigga now in midsummer? Is he gonna be for the May Queen? Is what I'm saying. Are we gonna have Rocha looking like John from The Office? I don't know what you're doing around here, pimping.
I just got to give Cat Williams props for seeing Midsummer. I didn't think Cat Williams would ever see Midsummer.
It is a white woman named Florence. Nigga, I got high and with a white woman named Florence.
Oh, no.
You gotta love those flowers.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I got nothing. All right. Well, we got to jump off in 2 minutes. So thank you, Ryan, so much. Hope you enjoyed that, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh man. That was, dude, you win the stream with that, Jay. You win the stream with that.
You won, bro. The funny thing is, I was trying to wonder how far my Cat Williams is falling. It is falling. I did it way better years ago. That was holy shit.
I may just go back and watch his first special now, for God's sakes. I love
all the weed now we call Crystalina Crown Light.
It's called self-esteem, bitch. How can you feel about your motherfucking self? Okay.
Where is he going? Is he wearing bleach?
Right. You got a bitch in the laundromat with a wedding dress and sock cleats. Bitch, what are you doing?
I love that. People are dead. People are dead from laughing. And Yakavetta giving me a shout out. Wow. Rick Samora is giving a shout out there. He said a little drip, drip. Where's that?
Yes,
there sir. Drip, drip.
Yeah. Swag. Niggas have to have swag. I'm telling you. He's got a boy named Tandro's gonna get him swag. We're gonna do
it. PC, you pay for the studio, you pay for the couch. We'll do it, but this is gonna be it for now. For now, that's for sure.
I mean, that's true. First of all, ain't nobody going to a studio right now. Okay, everybody is locked up in their homes, drinking plenty of fluids. Hopefully, you stocked up on more than toilet paper because you can't eat that. So,
you can't eat that. The president is a nigga, and the nigga knows what he's talking about. Listen to the man, okay?
I couldn't think of a more better ending for this show than this right here. Case Keenum signs with the Browns.
Yeah, I saw that.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
Wait a minute. What about Baker Mayfield? He was doing progressive commercials mowing lawns, okay? That means they put money.
And what did I say? Stop doing commercials and get into practice. It's exactly what I said. And what happened, of course.
Well, I said, get your money while you can, because now it's not there.
That's fair. Both sides are true, I think, in this situation. He played like shit because he was doing those things, but he did get paid, so he's going to be set. All right, we got to wrap it. Thank you so much. It's 3. We've been on for 2 hours, for God's sakes. I can't believe it. Thank you so much to Jay Washington.
We would have never gotten this like a lighter.
And Winston Marshall. It's very true. Very true. I'd have gotten dirty faces the whole time if we'd gone over 1 hour. Jay, please let everybody know where they can find you, and Winston right after that.
Alrighty, you see the social media handle. It's Twitter, Instagram right there. My Patreon, also the same thing, Mr. J. Washington. Check out the Mad Titan podcast. I'm going to put up a new episode tonight. Everything's been super hectic. And my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JAY-Washington80. I'm going to do an ode to Arrow. I love this show for 8 years, and I'm going to do a gigantic recap in my ode to Arrow. So go ahead and subscribe. And for me and Winston, Blurs in the Hood, go to our YouTube channel, BLERDS, the letter N, THEHOOD. We are doing our Blurs in the Hood show live tomorrow. We're going to figure out how to put a partition between the two of us and sing Beyonce's song while we do it.
I mean, he pretty much covered the second half of what I was going to say. You can follow me exactly what you see at the Swaggy Blur, THESWAGGYBLERD. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube for sure. I'm doing some more stuff soon, even though I'm going to be trapped in this, this kitchen for a while.
You are Kelly remix. I'm trapped in the kitchen.
The Patreon, patreon.com/swaggyblurred. Thank you so much to all the people going out there. I'm going to be doing a Q&A this week, actually, since I have some time to kill. I'm going to do a Q&A for my Patreon, so definitely come through and do that. But yeah, please, support this man, John Rocha, support, SEN, all that kind of stuff. Like everybody that you see in this kind of sphere, it is a trying time, but we're trying to continue to keep the spirits high and keep people happy and whatnot. And that's what we're here for. So we thank you for each and every person that just watches it. We thank you for each and every dollar that you throw at us. But more importantly, we're just really here to try and make things a little bit better. So,
and I am close to doing cocaine, nigga, because I'm getting bored.
But that's exactly how your career stopped.
That's true. A lot of sweating too. All right. Thank you everybody for watching this episode. You can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And of course, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. This is the first of many shows, Game Time. People have been hassling me to bring this show back, and I'm very, very happy. I had the best time over the last 2 hours with Jay and Winston. Thank you both, gentlemen, for joining me. Had such a great time. Knew it was going to be fun, and it exceeded all my expectations. It's always the best when the three of us get together and talk sports with our unique mix of humor and seriousness about the topic. So I appreciate that very much. Please, as I said, subscribe below, follow me, and also if you want to go to my Patreon, www.patreon.com/John Rocha, see all the tiers that are there. Going to be doing a lot more with the Patreon. That's for damn sure. And look out for all the content coming out of the channel. And I'll be on with Mark Riley possibly a little bit later today on his feed. Just got the news that his wedding is canceled, unfortunately. So at least the venue canceled the wedding. He may still have the wedding, but the venue canceled the wedding. So he may or may not do the show this afternoon. If he does, I will be on.
I was just about
later time.
Back my invitation.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate that situation right now. This is ever changing. So anyway, but hopefully maybe Riley will watch this. It'll pick up his spirits overall because this was a great time. Thank you all so much. And please come back next time for another brand new episode of Game Time here on the Outlaw Nation channel. Take care until then. Be safe. Wash your hands. Don't touch people. Talk to you later.
Unless they want you to touch them.
Oh, Lord.